Did the Knights Templar secretly preserve a bloodline that changed the course of history? What if their rise to power wasn't just a crusade for wealth or religion, but a carefully orchestrated plan to protect a legacy older than civilization itself, hidden in the shadows of history, buried under layers of secrets, is the true story of a lineage that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the Templars. A bloodline that even today continues to hold untold power. But let's slow down. Let's step away from the rush of that revelation and focus for a moment. The Templars, so shrouded in mystery and myth, were more than just medieval warriors. They were guardians of something much deeper, something that could have shaped the course of history in ways most of us never imagined. Join me as we journey through the labyrinth of this forgotten legacy. The story of the Knights Templar is one of intrigue, wealth, betrayal, and hidden power. A tale that starts in the heart of the Holy Land during the Crusades, where a group of knights first emerged, pledged to protect pilgrims on their dangerous journeys to sacred sites. What began as a noble mission, however, quickly transformed into something far more complicated. For centuries, the Templars accumulated unimaginable wealth and influenced their reputation, growing far beyond the borders of the medieval world. They were known as the bankers of Europe, trusted by kings and queens, their coffers filled with riches and sacred relics. But what was their true purpose? Were they merely soldiers of Christ, or were they protectors of something far more valuable, something that could change the course of history? As we dive deeper into the history of the Templars, we'll uncover stories that have been carefully buried by those in power. The arrest of the Templars in the early 14th century, ordered by King Philip IV of France, marked a pivotal moment in history. The knights were publicly disbanded, their leaders tortured, and their wealth seized. But what if the narrative we've been told is incomplete? What if their downfall wasn't just about greed, but about a darker, hidden agenda to silence a secret far too dangerous for the world to know? It is widely believed that the Templars went into hiding after their disbandment. But where did they go? Did they really vanish, or did they continue their work in the shadows, preserving their influence in secret? Some believe they fled to the remote regions of Europe, to places like Scotland, where they blended into royal families and other noble houses, passing down a legacy, an ancient bloodline linked to royal and religious power. Others speculate that the Templars were never fully wiped out, their influence remaining just beneath the surface, quietly shaping global events throughout history. Before we venture further into the shadows, take a moment to subscribe, so you never miss a secret that history has tried to forget. The Knights Templar began as a small group of French knights sworn to protect pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land during the Crusades. But their rise to power wasn't accidental. From the very beginning, something about them seemed different. Their rapid ascent, their mysterious operations, and their overwhelming influence have sparked questions for centuries. Was their purpose truly just about chivalry and piety? Or was there a deeper, more calculated plan driving their every move? It's no secret that the Templars were skilled warriors with a reputation that spread like wildfire across Europe. They fought fiercely in the Holy Land, gaining honor and renown for their prowess. But the story doesn't end there. While the knights were engaging in battles and sieging cities, they were also building something far more significant, a financial empire. By the early 12th century, the Templars were operating a network of banking institutions that spanned the length and breadth of Europe. They began to offer services that no one else could, creating a system that allowed nobles to deposit their wealth, secure loans, and even make international transactions, all with the backing of the Templar Order. Their banking operations were not just about money. They allowed the Templars to become the go-to trusted financiers for monarchs and popes. The order had a unique relationship with the Vatican, enjoying privileges that no other organization had. Some believe that this bond with the Church was not only a matter of religious devotion, but one of mutual benefit, a partnership forged in secrecy with shared interests in wealth, power, and control. But did the Templars really follow the religious doctrines they pledged allegiance to, or was there something else in play? As the Templars grew more influential, their reach expanded. They began to build castles and fortresses across Europe, laying the foundation for what would become a vast network of power and protection. But these were not mere military outposts. They were symbols of a quiet dominance, a strategic positioning to control key trade routes, religious sites, and regions rich in resources. Their connections with royalty became even more significant, as monarchs found themselves deeply entangled with the order's wealth and influence. But here's the catch. There are whispers that the Templars weren't simply opportunistic in their rise to power. Some believe that their rapid success wasn't just a result of military victories or clever financial strategies. Instead, it suggests a deeper, more ancient agenda. Could the Templars have been part of something larger, a secretive network, with roots that stretched far back in time, a network that had always been in place to guide and control the course of history, hidden beneath the veil of religion and warfare? For centuries, scholars have debated the origins of the Templars. Many theories have been put forward, but none seem to fully answer the question: how did a small band of knights become so powerful in such a short amount of time? One possible answer lies in the idea that the Templars had access to knowledge that was hidden from the public, guarded by those in power, and that may have been passed down through secret bloodlines. This knowledge, whether it was religious, political, or even esoteric, could have given the Templars the edge they needed to build their empire and ensure their place in history. The Templars' wealth was not just about treasure, it was also about knowledge. As the order grew, they began to amass sacred relics, manuscripts, and artifacts that were said to hold incredible power. Some believe that among these items were ancient secrets tied to the bloodlines of royalty and divine right secrets that had been passed down from ancient civilizations. These items were not just symbols of religious devotion, they were pieces of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that the Templars were determined to solve. One particularly intriguing theory suggests that the Templars were not simply soldiers of Christ, but that they were also protectors of something far older, a bloodline, with connections to the ancient kings of Israel. Could the Templars have been guarding this secret, keeping it hidden for centuries? Was their sudden rise to power part of a grand plan to safeguard this bloodline, one that stretched back to biblical times? In fact, some researchers have pointed to the Templars' sudden access to vast amounts of wealth and power as evidence of a hidden agenda. The order's founding was closely linked to the First Crusade, a religious war that sought to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim rule. But what if the crusade wasn't just about reclaiming the Holy Land? What if it was about something much more personal, something hidden deep within the ancient city itself? As we continue to peel back the layers of this mystery, one thing becomes clear: the Templars were more than just a military order. Their influence wasn't limited to their battles in the Holy Land or their banking operations in Europe. They were at their core guardians of a secret that transcended the ages. Whether it was the bloodline they protected, the knowledge they guarded, or the influence they wielded, the Templars were always one step ahead of the world around them. But the more we learn, the more questions emerge. What was this secret? Who else knew about it? And why, after centuries of power, did the Templars suddenly face such an unrelenting persecution? The answers to these questions may lie within the very bloodlines they sought to protect. The Knights Templar are often associated with the wealth and power they amassed over the centuries. But what if their financial success was not simply a byproduct of their operations, but a deliberate part of their mission? Their wealth wasn't just for earthly luxuries or to fund military campaigns. It was tied to something much deeper. Something hidden within the treasure. They guarded the relics they protected, and perhaps even the bloodline they sought to preserve. The Templars' wealth was staggering. By the 13th century, the order was one of the richest institutions in Europe, owning vast lands, castles, and holdings across the continent. Their financial network spanned from Jerusalem to the heart of France, with far-reaching influence in Spain, England, and beyond. The Templars' banking operations were among the first of their kind, laying the groundwork for modern banking systems. They offered a range of services from holding deposits to providing loans to kings, queens, and high-ranking nobles. This control over financial matters is often seen as one of the key reasons for the Templars' downfall. As their wealth grew, so did their influence, an influence that many monarchs began to see as a threat. King Philip IV of France, one of the most notable figures in the Templars' tragic history, had a pressing need to finance his wars. To do so, he turned to the Templars, whose vast wealth he desired to seize. But what was it that made the Templars' wealth so significant? What made their riches so enticing? The answer might lie in the unique nature of their wealth. While other medieval institutions were focused on land and resources, the Templars' wealth was intangible, often based in their role as the financiers for European royalty. Their network extended beyond mere monetary exchanges. It was deeply entwined with secrets, codes, and perhaps even forbidden knowledge. Some researchers believe that the Templars didn't just hoard treasure. They accumulated relics and ancient manuscripts, some of which may have contained cryptic messages or instructions related to the bloodline they sought to protect. One of the most intriguing aspects of Templar wealth is the role of sacred relics in their collections. Among the most famous artifacts supposedly associated with the Templars is the Holy Grail, a relic that has been a subject of fascination for centuries. The Grail, according to legend, is not merely a chalice but a symbol of something far greater, a divine right, a royal bloodline, or even a connection to the ancient kings of Israel. But if the Templars possessed such relics, what were they really guarding? Was the wealth they amassed a means to protect these sacred objects, or was the wealth itself tied to the preservation of the bloodline? Perhaps the answer lies in a series of lesser-known relics associated with the Templars' items that seem to transcend simple religious significance and take on a more enigmatic role. One such item is the famous Templar seal, a symbol that adorned their possessions and was said to carry a hidden meaning. The seal, which depicted two knights riding on a single horse, could be seen as an emblem of brotherhood, but its meaning may have been deeper, a representation of the dual nature of the Templars' mission. The knights who wore it were not only soldiers of Christ, but also protectors of something much older, a bloodline, or a secret far more ancient than the Crusades themselves. As the Templars grew in power and wealth, they became increasingly intertwined with the European nobility. The order's influence stretched into the royal courts of England, France, and Spain, where they were both revered and feared. Monarchs and popes turned to the Templars for financial support, and in return, the Templars gained access to the highest echelons of society. But it wasn't just money that they sought. The Templars' wealth was also a means to an end, a tool used to protect a secret that, if revealed, could change the world. The question remains, what was the true purpose behind the Templars' wealth? Was it simply to fund their operations, or was there a deeper, more esoteric reason for their accumulation of riches? Could their wealth have been tied to the protection of the bloodline, the guardianship of knowledge, or the preservation of sacred relics that contained the key to understanding an ancient legacy? The wealth of the Templars was not just about gold or silver. It was about something far more valuable: power, secrecy, and the hidden knowledge that flowed through their ranks. But as with everything related to the Templars, nothing was as it seemed. Their financial empire may have been just the surface of something far more intricate: a network that connected the past, the present, and possibly even the future. And then, as the Templars' power grew, their downfall came swiftly. Their once staggering wealth was seized by those who feared them, their assets frozen, and their order disbanded by the very kings and popes who had once relied on them. Was this simply a matter of greed, or was there a darker force at play, one that sought to erase the Templars' influence and hide the truth they had been protecting for centuries? But even in their downfall, the question persists. What was the true nature of the Templars' wealth, and what exactly did they seek to protect with all the riches they amassed? The answer may lie in the very bloodlines they fought to preserve, a secret that even today remains hidden beneath the surface of history. The history of the Templars is often told as the story of medieval knights, brave soldiers fighting for faith, treasure, and honor. But what if this story, as it is known, is only half the truth? What if their origins go far deeper, tracing a line back to an ancient and divine bloodline that predated even the rise of Christianity? Could the Templars have been more than mere warriors? Could they have been guardians of something far older, something so sacred it needed to be hidden from the world? To understand the possible origins of the Templar bloodline, we must first look beyond the Crusades and into the mysteries of the ancient world. Legends speak of a sacred family, one with ties to kings and gods who were believed to possess knowledge and power that could change the fate of mankind. These figures, often linked to the ancient Hebrews, were said to have held a divine right that granted them rule over all nations. They were, according to some, descendants of the gods themselves, an ancient royal family whose blood was believed to be blessed by the heavens. This concept of a divinely ordained bloodline is not unique to the Templars, but the Knights' relationship to such a lineage is where things begin to get interesting. The idea that the Templars might have been connected to a hidden royal bloodline ties directly into one of the most fascinating and controversial aspects of their history: their involvement with the Holy Grail. Throughout history, the Holy Grail has been depicted as a relic of immeasurable power, an object capable of granting divine wisdom or eternal life. But what if the Grail was more than just a cup? What if it was a symbol of a sacred bloodline, a physical manifestation of the power and purity of a divine family? According to some theories, the Templars were not just searching for the Grail, they were trying to protect it, because it contained the key to unlocking the bloodline's true power. This brings us to a much older theory, that the Templars' origins could be traced back to the Merovingians, an ancient dynasty believed to be the first kings of France. According to some sources, the Merovingians were no ordinary royalty. They were said to be descended from the ancient blood of the biblical King David, and their lineage was believed to hold divine favor. This connection, if true, would make the Merovingians, and by extension the Templars, part of a much grander plan to protect and perpetuate the bloodline of the gods. The Merovingian theory has long been controversial. Some dismiss it as fantasy, a romanticized myth invented by modern authors to explain the mysterious history of the French monarchy. But others argue that there is a wealth of historical evidence that links the Merovingians to ancient bloodlines far older than the Christian era. This theory posits that the Merovingians were not just kings, but the direct descendants of a royal bloodline that extended all the way back to the time of the biblical patriarchs. If this is true, then it would make sense that the Templars, as guardians of sacred knowledge, would be entrusted with the protection of this bloodline. But there's more. If the Merovingians were indeed descendants of the ancient bloodline, could the Templars have been chosen to guard their legacy? Some researchers believe that the Templars were not merely soldiers or bankers, but custodians of a secret that could alter the course of history. This secret, they argue, was tied to the preservation of this ancient bloodline, a family whose true power was not just political, but spiritual. So why would the Templars hide such a lineage? If they were tasked with preserving the bloodline, it would have been necessary for them to operate in secrecy, keeping the knowledge of their true mission hidden from the world. This would explain the Templars' cryptic symbols, their secretive rituals, and the treasure they hoarded. Their vast wealth and influence were not merely about material gain, they were part of a much larger strategy to protect the bloodline and its sacred legacy. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Templar legacy is the idea that they were part of a larger secret network that had been operating for centuries to preserve and protect this divine bloodline. In this view, the Templars were not isolated warriors fighting in the Crusades, but part of an ancient global order whose sole purpose was to protect the lineage of the gods. From the ancient Egyptians to the Romans to the early Christians, there were always those who knew of the bloodline's importance. The Templars were merely the latest guardians in a long line of protectors. It's clear that the Templars' role in history is much more complex than we've been led to believe. Their rise to power, their sudden wealth, and their eventual downfall all point to a deeper mystery, one that may never be fully understood. What were they really protecting? Was it just treasure, or was there something more? Could the Templars have been guardians of a bloodline that spanned millennia of family, whose descendants could hold the key to understanding the true nature of power? This theory challenges everything we think we know about the Templars and their place in history. It suggests that their mission was not just about wealth or war, it was about the preservation of a sacred family, a lineage whose secrets were so powerful that they had to be kept hidden from the world. But the more we explore this possibility, the more questions arise. If the Templars were truly protectors of this bloodline, who were their enemies, who wanted this secret buried, and why? As we move forward, we'll delve deeper into the mysteries of the Templar legacy, exploring the ancient origins of their bloodline and the far-reaching consequences of their guardianship. But for now, let's keep the questions in mind. What if the Templars' true purpose was not to defend the Christian faith, but to safeguard a secret bloodline hidden from the world for centuries? To truly understand the mystery of the Templar bloodline, we must delve into the depths of one of history's most elusive and enigmatic objects, the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark, a sacred relic of ancient Israel, has been a subject of fascination for centuries. Described in the Bible as a gold-plated wooden chest that contained the Ten Commandments, the Ark is said to hold an immense power capable of transforming the course of history. But the real question is, what role did the Templars play in its mystery? Did they protect it? Did they find it? Or did they perhaps know of its true significance, a knowledge that could shape the very foundations of the world? The Ark of the Covenant is often depicted in popular culture as a holy artifact, a symbol of divine power. But its true significance goes beyond religious symbolism. It's tied to something much deeper, to a legacy of knowledge and power that stretches back to the very origins of civilization. The idea that the Templars might have been involved with the Ark is not just a fanciful theory, but one rooted in history, legend, and some tantalizing clues hidden throughout the Templars' own mystique. One of the most intriguing theories suggests that the Templars, during their time in Jerusalem, discovered the Ark hidden beneath the Temple of Solomon. The Temple of Solomon, built thousands of years ago as a central place of worship, was believed to house the Ark of the Covenant for centuries. According to some accounts, The Ark was hidden away long before the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem, leaving no trace of its existence behind. But what if the Ark didn't disappear at all? What if it was simply moved hidden by those who knew of its power and significance? The Templars, known for their deep connection to the Holy Land, were granted control over the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. This ancient site, revered by Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, was where Solomon's temple had once stood. As the Templars set up their headquarters on the Temple Mount, many historians believe they may have had access to hidden chambers beneath the surface chambers that could have contained the lost Ark. There are records that suggest the Templars conducted excavations in the area, but the results of those efforts have never been fully revealed. This leads us to one of the most captivating theories of all, that the Templars didn't just guard the Ark, but rather that they found it. This would explain their sudden rise to power. What other explanation could there be for such a rapid expansion of influence, wealth, and knowledge? If the Templars had uncovered the Ark, they would have held one of the most potent and dangerous secrets of all time. The Ark's power wasn't merely religious. It was said to bestow authority, divine right, and the ability to wield influence over nations. Whoever controlled the Ark controlled the very fate of the world. But if the Templars did indeed find the Ark, what happened to it? Some believe that the Templars took the Ark back to Europe, hiding it in one of their many castles or fortresses, where it remained safely out of reach. Others suggest that the Ark was hidden in a secret location, perhaps in the underground vaults beneath the Templars' headquarters. The legends of the Ark's journey through Europe are many, but no one truly knows where it ended up, or if it even exists in its original form. There is also the possibility that the Ark itself was not a single object, but a symbol of something more, an ancient knowledge tied to the sacred bloodline the Templars sought to protect. If this theory is correct, then the Ark might represent more than just a physical artifact. It could symbolize the divine right of kings, the secret power of the bloodline, or even the ancient wisdom that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. The connection between the Templars and the Ark is not just based on the tantalizing clues left behind in history, but also on the esoteric teachings of the Templars themselves. Many scholars believe that the Templars were not merely knights defending holy sites, but initiates in a secret tradition that went far beyond the confines of Christianity. This tradition, passed down through the ages, was said to contain hidden knowledge about the true nature of the universe, the divine, and the power of the bloodline. The Ark, in this view, was not merely a religious object, but a key to unlocking this ancient wisdom. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence linking the Templars to the Ark comes from their own symbols and rituals. The Templar cross, for example, is not just a simple Christian symbol. It is thought by some to represent the secret knowledge and power that the Ark held. The Templars' rituals, too, are filled with references to hidden wisdom and divine authority. These symbols, passed down from generation to generation, suggest that the Templars were more than just soldiers of the Church. They were keepers of an ancient secret tradition that stretched back to the very dawn of civilization. But if the Templars were indeed protectors of the Ark, what did they do with it? Did they keep it hidden, guarding its secrets from the world? Or did they use it to further their own power and influence, as some believe? What role did the Ark play in their rise and eventual fall from grace? These are questions that have puzzled historians for centuries, and the answers may lie buried beneath layers of history, locked away in the vaults of time. As we continue to explore the Templars' legacy, we'll delve deeper into their connection to the Ark and other sacred relics. Whether the Ark is a tangible object or a metaphor for something deeper, one thing is certain: the Templars' association with it has left an indelible mark on history. And as we uncover more about their secretive past, we may discover that the true power of the Templars was not in their wealth or military might, but in the hidden knowledge they protected, knowledge that could change the world as we know it. The Templars, long shrouded in mystery, are most often remembered for their military prowess and vast wealth. Yet it's their mysterious relics that may hold the key to understanding the true depth of their influence. Throughout their rise to power, the Templars amassed a collection of sacred and enigmatic artifacts, some of which continue to puzzle historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. These relics were more than just religious symbols. They were tools of power, guardians of knowledge, and potentially the very foundation of the Templars' secret mission to protect a bloodline that could change the course of history. One of the most famous Templar relics is the famed Baphomet statue, which was reportedly discovered during the trials of the Templars in the early 14th century. This idol, often associated with dark rituals, was said to have been an object of veneration among the Templar knights. But what did it really represent? While some claim that the statue symbolized heretical practices or pagan worship, others suggest that it was a symbol of a much older, more hidden tradition, one tied to ancient knowledge and divine power. The ambiguity surrounding the Baphomet statue reflects the larger mystery of the Templars' relics. Were they simply religious artifacts, or were they keys to unlocking a greater truth, one that was deliberately kept out of sight? The significance of these relics, including the Baphomet statue, is often dismissed as mere superstition. However, there are those who argue that the Templars' relics were connected to something far more profound. Many believe that the relics they gathered were not just religious symbols or items of worship, they were pieces of a puzzle. A puzzle that once solved would reveal the true nature of the Templar mission. According to some theories, these relics were guardians of secret knowledge, offering glimpses into an ancient tradition that tied the Templars to a much older, more sacred lineage. Another key artifact in the Templar legacy is the famous Shroud of Turin. While it has been a subject of fascination for centuries, its connection to the Templars is rarely explored. The shroud, said to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, has long been associated with religious devotion. But could it also be a relic tied to the Templar bloodline? Some researchers believe that the shroud's origins may be linked to the Templars' time in the Holy Land. During their occupation of Jerusalem, the Templars were said to have discovered and guarded many relics, including those tied to the life of Christ. If the Templars did indeed bring the shroud back to Europe, its significance would go far beyond its religious importance. It could serve as a physical connection to the divine bloodline they were sworn to protect. This raises an important question. What did the Templars know about the bloodline they were guarding? The relics they hoarded, including the Baphomet statue, the Shroud of Turin, and countless others, could hold the key to understanding the true nature of this bloodline. Were these relics merely symbols of their faith, or were they hidden markers, each one a clue leading to something far more powerful and dangerous? The fact that the Templars sought to protect such artifacts suggests that they knew something. The rest of the world did not something about a bloodline that stretched back to ancient times, a bloodline that could hold the key to understanding the nature of divine authority. The Templars' collection of sacred relics extended beyond just Christian artifacts. According to some theories, they may have also been in possession of objects from other ancient cultures, items that were believed to possess great power. One of the most compelling of these is the idea that the Templars may have held relics connected to the lost city of Atlantis. While the existence of Atlantis is still debated, there are those who believe that the Templars, with their extensive network of contacts and their access to ancient knowledge, may have stumbled upon relics that predated even the Bible. These relics, tied to a forgotten civilization, could hold answers to questions about the origins of the Templar bloodline, and perhaps even the origins of humanity itself. What makes the Templars' collection of relics so intriguing is the fact that many of these objects are not just religious, but esoteric in nature. They are symbols of a hidden knowledge, a wisdom that was passed down through the ages guarded by those who understood its power. The Templars, with their secretive rituals and their hidden agenda, were the perfect custodians of this knowledge. Their relics were not just items of worship, they were keys to unlocking a deeper understanding of the world of divine right and of the bloodline they were sworn to protect. But the more we learn about the Templars' relics, the more questions arise. Where did they find these objects? Who else knew about their significance, and why were they so desperate to protect them? The answers to these questions are buried beneath layers of history obscured by the passage of time. Yet even as the Templars were persecuted and their wealth seized, these relics remained hidden. What were they really protecting? Was it treasure knowledge, or was it something far more profound, a bloodline that could alter the course of history? As we continue to explore the mysteries of the Templar legacy, we must ask ourselves, what if the Templars' true power was never about their military, might, their wealth, or even their religious devotion? What if their real strength lay in the secrets they guarded? The relics they collected, each one a piece of a puzzle, that when put together could reveal the true purpose of their order. In the end, the relics may hold the key to understanding not only the Templars, but the hidden bloodline they fought to protect, a bloodline that may still be alive today, hidden from the world. The Knights Templars' sudden downfall in the early 14th century is one of the most dramatic moments in history. For centuries, the order had thrived, building an empire of wealth, influence, and secrecy. Yet in the blink of an eye, the Templars were betrayed. Their leaders were arrested, tortured, and executed, their assets seized, and their order disbanded. The cause of their downfall is often told as the greed of King Philip IV of France, whose mounting debts to the Templars drove him to desperate measures. But this simplistic explanation barely scratches the surface. Could there have been more at play? Was there a grander, more calculated plan to destroy the Templars, to erase them from history? At the heart of the Templar betrayal lies King Philip IV, who was deeply indebted to the order. The Templars had loaned him large sums of money for his war efforts and lavish lifestyle. But in the early 1300s, Philip's debts reached a breaking point. The Templars were no longer simply a bank for the monarchy. They were a political force, one that had the potential to challenge the king's authority. Philip, fearing that the Templars' wealth and influence could shift the balance of power in France, took drastic action. On the morning of October 13th in 1307, he ordered the mass arrest of all Templar knights in France, accusing them of heresy, sodomy, and other vile crimes. Their leaders were tortured into confessing to charges of blasphemy and Satanism, and ultimately Jacques de Molay, the Grand Master of the Templars, was burned at the stake. However, this narrative raises more questions than answers. If the Templars were truly guilty of the crimes Philip accused them of, why was the evidence so thin? And why did Philip take such extreme measures to eradicate them, not just in France, but across Europe? Some historians argue that the charges of heresy were fabricated to justify Philip's grab for power. But what if there was more to the story? What if Philip's real fear wasn't just the Templars' wealth, but the secret they protected, the ancient bloodline that could upend the monarchy and the established order of the world? One theory suggests that the Templars were targeted not simply because of their wealth or influence, but because they were the guardians of a secret, an ancient secret about a bloodline that stretched back millennia. This bloodline, tied to the sacred kings of Israel, represented a divine right that could challenge the legitimacy of monarchies across Europe. The power of this bloodline, if revealed, would undermine the very foundations of royal authority. It is said that Philip, a monarch desperate to maintain his hold on power, saw the Templars as a direct threat to his throne and to the entire structure of European royalty. In this light, the persecution of the Templars can be seen as part of a larger coordinated effort to erase a powerful bloodline from history. This wasn't just a matter of wealth or political rivalry. It was about controlling the narrative of royal power and ensuring that the true source of that power remained hidden. By disbanding the Templars, seizing their wealth, and executing their leaders, Philip sought to eliminate any trace of the secret that the Templars had guarded for centuries. But the question remains, what was that secret? Was it a bloodline tied to ancient kings, to the sacred rights of rulers who had once held dominion over the world? Some researchers speculate that the Templars were not just defending the bloodline of Christ, as commonly believed, but a royal family that had been divinely chosen to rule. This family, the descendants of ancient kings, would have been considered a threat to the established European powers, and if revealed, could have shifted the balance of political and religious authority. Philip's decision to execute Jacques de Molay, the Grand Master, may have been his desperate attempt to extinguish the bloodline once and for all. But despite Philip's efforts, the story of the Templars did not end with their persecution. While the order was officially disbanded, many believed that the Templars did not simply vanish into history. In fact, there is evidence to suggest that the Templars went underground, continuing their work in secret, preserving the bloodline and the knowledge they had guarded for centuries. The remnants of the Templar Order are said to have formed the basis for later secret societies, including the Freemasons, who would go on to play a significant role in shaping the political landscape of Europe and beyond. In the centuries following their downfall, the Templars became the subject of numerous legends and conspiracies. Some claim that they secretly fled to the Americas, taking their treasures and the secrets they protected across the ocean. Others believe that they infiltrated the courts of Europe's ruling families, subtly influencing political events and protecting the bloodline in secrecy. Whether or not these claims are true, they highlight the lasting impact the Templars had on history. Despite being officially destroyed, the Order's influence continued to echo through the ages. The real question, however, is why the Templars were so determined to protect the bloodline. What was it about this lineage that was so crucial to their mission? Could it have been a symbol of divine authority, a family whose descendants held the key to a deeper understanding of the universe? Or was it simply a matter of political power, with the Templars acting as guardians of a royal family that was believed to be divinely chosen to rule? As we dig deeper into the story of the Templars, one thing becomes clear: their downfall was not just the result of political maneuvering or financial greed. It was the culmination of a much larger, more profound struggle, one that spanned centuries and involved the defense of a secret so powerful that it could change the very course of history. The betrayal of the Templars wasn't just an attack on a military order. It was an attempt to erase a legacy that could never be fully understood, a bloodline whose true significance remains hidden even to this day. The downfall of the Templars in the early 14th century left a power vacuum that no one truly anticipated. With the Order's wealth seized, its leaders executed, and its archives destroyed, the Templars appeared to vanish from history. Yet in the centuries that followed, whispers began to circulate, whispers of a surviving Templar network operating in the shadows, its influence still shaping world events. From the ashes of the Templar Order, new secret societies began to emerge, societies that were said to carry the hidden legacy of the Templars, guarding the bloodline they had fought to protect. One of the most famous of these societies is the Freemasons. Known today as a fraternal organization dedicated to moral and spiritual values, the Freemasons have long been associated with secrecy, power, and the preservation of hidden knowledge. But what if the origins of the Freemasons can be traced back to the Templars themselves? Could the Freemasons with their elaborate rituals and symbols be the modern-day heirs to the Templar legacy? There is compelling evidence that suggests the Freemasons inherited much more than just the Templars' secrecy. They may have inherited their mission as well. Many of the symbols used by the Freemasons, such as the square and compass, have been linked to Templar iconography. Even more intriguing are the legends and myths that surround the origins of Freemasonry. Some claim that the Freemasons were founded by Templar knights, who after the order was disbanded, went into hiding and formed a new society to continue their work in secret. According to this theory, the Freemasons were not merely a group of men dedicated to charitable works, but rather a continuation of the Templar mission to protect the ancient bloodline and preserve the hidden knowledge that had been passed down through the ages. But the connection between the Templars and the Freemasons is not the only link between modern secret societies and the ancient order. Over the centuries, many other societies have emerged, each claiming to hold a piece of the Templar legacy. The Rosicrucians, for example, are another secret society that is often linked to the Templars. This mystical order, which rose to prominence in the early 17th century, was said to possess ancient knowledge about the cosmos and the divine. Like the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians were steeped in secrecy, with their members bound by oaths to protect the knowledge they held. Some researchers argue that the Rosicrucians, too, are the spiritual descendants of the Templars, tasked with guarding the same sacred truths that the order once protected. Throughout history, the Templars' legacy has been transmitted through these secret societies, each one claiming to carry forward the ancient mission of the order. These societies, shrouded in secrecy and mystery, have continued to operate in the shadows, influencing politics, religion, and culture in ways that are often hidden from the public eye. Some believe that these secret societies, operating through a network of elites, are still working to protect the bloodline the Templars guarded, hidden in plain sight, just as the Templars themselves once did. But what exactly is the connection between these secret societies and the Templar bloodline? Is it possible that the bloodline of the ancient kings, the very family that the Templars sought to protect, is still alive today? Could modern secret societies be the custodians of this legacy, working in the shadows to preserve a bloodline that has the power to change the world? To understand the potential connection, we must examine the symbols and rituals of these societies. The Freemasons, for example, use symbols such as the all-seeing eye, the compass, and the square symbols that have been associated with the Templars for centuries. These symbols, often seen in Masonic lodges and on important buildings, may represent more than just moral teachings. They could be markers guiding initiates to a deeper truth about the hidden bloodline. Similarly, the Rosicrucians are known for their use of alchemical and mystical symbols, many of which seem to echo Templar iconography. These symbols may hold the key to understanding the true mission of the secret societies, preserving a bloodline that transcends time and which could, if revealed, alter the course of history. There are also those who believe that the true mission of these secret societies goes beyond the mere preservation of the bloodline. Some argue that these societies are working to uncover the hidden knowledge that the Templars protected, the ancient wisdom that has been lost to the ages. This knowledge, whether it pertains to divine right, the nature of power, or the secrets of the universe, could hold the key to unlocking humanity's potential. In this view, the Templars' true purpose was not just to guard a bloodline, but to protect the wisdom that could lead to a greater understanding of the world and our place within it. But why, after all these centuries, is this knowledge still hidden? Why are modern secret societies still working in the shadows, preserving their secrets, and keeping the world in the dark? Could it be that the power contained within the Templar bloodline, or the knowledge they guarded, is simply too dangerous to be revealed? Or is it possible that the descendants of the Templars, now scattered across the world, are still quietly exerting influence, shaping events behind the scenes in order to protect the legacy of their ancient ancestors. The birth of modern secret societies then may not just be about preserving tradition or protecting ancient knowledge. It may be about continuing the work of the Templars themselves, preserving a bloodline and a legacy that stretches back to the very foundations of civilization. Whether or not we ever fully uncover the truth about the Templars and their hidden legacy, one thing is certain: their influence continues to echo through history, shaping the world in ways that remain largely unseen. As we delve deeper into the story of the Templars and their legacy, we must ask ourselves, what secrets are still being guarded today? What truths are still hidden, waiting to be uncovered? And could the Templars' bloodline still be with us, alive and well, continuing to shape the world in ways we can't even begin to understand? As the Knights Templar faced their dramatic fall in the early 14th century, their secrets were not completely erased. While their visible presence disappeared, it is widely believed that their influence continued in the shadows, quietly weaving through the tapestry of European history. From the grand castles of France to the distant shores of Scotland, the Templars left behind a trail of whispers, clues, and hidden networks. Were they truly defeated? Or did they simply adapt, fleeing to remote parts of Europe to continue their work in secret? Scotland plays a pivotal role in these theories. After the disbandment of the Templars, many knights were believed to have escaped to the country, where they found refuge in the northern reaches of Britain. The legend of their escape, especially to Scotland, is tightly interwoven with the idea that the Templars were not just seeking sanctuary, but actively continuing their mission. Scotland at the time was a country on the fringes of European power, with a royal family, whose bloodline and allegiances were often at odds with the power structures in place in England and France. It is in Scotland that the Templars' legacy may have flourished in ways hidden from the broader historical record. The connection between the Templars and Scotland has been the subject of much speculation. One compelling aspect is the role of the Knights Templar in the construction of certain key sites, most notably Rosslyn Chapel, located near Edinburgh. Built in the early 15th century, Rosslyn Chapel is often cited as a place deeply connected to Templar symbolism. The chapel is decorated with intricate carvings and symbols that seem to evoke Templar iconography, including references to the Knights' connection to sacred geometry, the Holy Grail, and ancient mysteries. It has long been speculated that the chapel was either built or heavily influenced by Templar knights, who in their exile sought to create a safe haven for the secrets they had once guarded. Rosslyn Chapel, however, is not the only trace of Templar influence in Scotland. Several castles and strongholds built by the Templars have been found across the country. These sites, often remote and difficult to access, seem to suggest that the Templars, if they did indeed make their way to Scotland, were setting up strongholds from which they could continue their hidden operations. It is believed that these strongholds were more than just places of protection. They were also sanctuaries for the Templar relics' knowledge, and perhaps most importantly, their bloodline. It is in these castles that the Templars may have quietly perpetuated the very legacy they had been forced to protect, shielded from the political turmoil of mainland Europe. But the Templars were not only active in Scotland. Their influence is said to have spread throughout Europe, particularly to regions where they had strong networks before their fall. Spain, Portugal, and parts of Italy are often mentioned as areas where surviving Templars may have continued their work. These regions had long-standing connections to the Templars, who had fought in the Iberian Peninsula during the Reconquista and had a strong presence in Italy, especially in the Papal States. It is not out of the question that these knights, whether they were remnants of the original Templar order or their successors, maintained covert operations to safeguard the secrets of the bloodline they had sworn to protect. The notion that the Templars had a continuing presence in these regions is further supported by stories of hidden treasure and cryptic documents. Across Europe, there have been long-standing rumors of Templar treasure hidden in secret vaults and caves, relics believed to hold keys to a greater understanding of the ancient bloodline. Many of these treasures are said to be hidden beneath the very lands that the Templars once controlled, waiting for the right time to be unearthed. Could these hidden treasures be more than just riches? What if they contained artifacts, scrolls, or even genealogical records that would confirm the existence of the sacred bloodline the Templars protected? The Templars' efforts to conceal their treasures and their bloodline were not just about hiding material wealth. They were preserving the very foundation of their order's mission. The surviving knights, in their efforts to maintain secrecy, may have gone as far as to embed the knowledge of the bloodline into local myths and legends. From the famous tales of the Holy Grail to the hidden knowledge contained within ancient manuscripts, these symbols and stories could serve as codes, ways to protect the truth until it was safe to reveal. As we examine these connections, it becomes clear that the Templars were not merely trying to evade the persecution they faced, they were laying the groundwork for a future revelation. It is likely that they saw themselves not as mere victims of betrayal, but as part of a larger plan. They believed that their mission would one day be completed, and the secrets they had guarded would be uncovered. The bloodline they sought to protect would once again rise to prominence, and with it, the knowledge and power that had been so carefully hidden. Yet even as these secrets began to spread across Europe, the question remains, who were the true descendants of the Templars? Was it the royal families that took refuge in these hidden strongholds? Or was it a select few individuals marked by birthright who carried the key to unlocking the Templars' greatest mystery? Even today, the search for the Templar legacy continues, with many believing that the bloodline they protected is still with us, albeit hidden from the eyes of the world. As we trace this trail of secrets, we must also remember that history is rarely linear, and the Templars' story is far from over. The hidden corners of Europe are still full of unexplained mystery sites that may yet hold the answers to some of the world's oldest and most profound questions. In the aftermath of the Templars' suppression, one region stands out as a potential refuge for the surviving knights: Scotland. Not only did the Templars seek sanctuary there, but their influence is thought to have shaped the very foundations of Scottish history and monarchy. The connection between the Templars and Scotland runs deep, with numerous theories suggesting that the Templars may have been more than mere exiles. They were active participants in the shaping of Scotland's royal bloodline and its future. The question is, how did Scotland become the key to preserving the Templar legacy? Scotland during the early 14th century was in a unique position. While much of Europe was embroiled in political turmoil and war, Scotland remained a relatively autonomous kingdom. With its royal family fighting to maintain independence from England, Scotland became a haven for those seeking refuge from the shifting tides of European power. And it's here in the rugged highlands and lowlands of Scotland that many believe the Templars found a second life. The most famous connection between the Templars and Scotland lies in the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314. This pivotal battle, which resulted in the Scottish victory over the English forces, is often cited as a turning point in Scotland's struggle for independence. Some researchers believe that the Templars, in their new role as protectors of the Scottish monarchy, played a crucial part in the success of the battle. According to this theory, the Templars, who had long established ties with the Scottish nobility, offered not only military support, but strategic guidance, preserving the independence of Scotland and securing their place within the kingdom. Moreover, there are claims that the Templars were directly involved in the establishment of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which traces its roots back to medieval Scotland. This connection is highly significant because the Freemasons, with their elaborate ritual symbols and secret knowledge, are often considered the modern heirs to the Templar legacy. The origins of Freemasonry are clouded in mystery, but many of its symbols and teachings are said to derive from Templar iconography. If the Templars truly fled to Scotland, they may have embedded their ancient traditions within the fabric of the Scottish Rite, ensuring that their secrets would be passed down through generations. Rosslyn Chapel, located just outside Edinburgh, serves as another key piece of the puzzle. Built in the 15th century, it is famously tied to both the Templars and the Freemasons. The chapel is filled with mysterious symbols, many of which are linked to Templar mysticism and sacred geometry. The chapel's intricate carvings, particularly those depicting biblical and alchemical imagery, have long been the subject of speculation. Was it simply a place of worship, or was it a secret temple built to house the knowledge and relics of the Templars? Some researchers argue that Rosslyn Chapel was constructed with the specific purpose of preserving the Templar legacy in Scotland, with its symbolism serving as a coded message to those who could decode it. Additionally, the architecture of Rosslyn Chapel itself is deeply linked to Templar symbolism. One of the most notable features of the chapel is the apprentice pillar, which is said to represent the Templars' journey from secrecy to enlightenment. The pillar's mysterious design, with its intricate carvings, is thought to encode the secret knowledge that the Templars carried with them into exile. For centuries, it has been a symbol of the Templars' hidden mission in Scotland, a mission that may have involved not only the preservation of their treasure and relics, but also the protection of a sacred bloodline. The Templar legacy in Scotland extends beyond just Rosslyn Chapel and the Battle of Bannockburn. According to some legends, the Templars were instrumental in the establishment of the Stuart dynasty, which ruled Scotland from the 14th to the 17th centuries. The Stuart family, known for their claim to the Scottish throne, is believed by some to be linked to the Templar bloodline. This theory suggests that the Stuart family was descended from a secret union between a Templar knight and a royal Scottish woman, creating a bloodline that would serve as the rightful heirs to both the Templar legacy and the throne of Scotland. This idea is supported by the presence of Templar symbols in Stuart royal iconography. The use of the double-headed eagle, for example, which is a prominent symbol in both Templar and royal heraldry, is thought to be a sign of the deep connection between the Templars and the Scottish monarchy. The Stuart family, with their royal claim, may have served as a modern-day extension of the Templars' mission, continuing the work of preserving the sacred bloodline that had been protected for centuries. Whether or not the Templars directly influenced the formation of the Stuart dynasty, their legacy is undeniably woven into the fabric of Scottish history. The Templars' deep connection to Scotland, from their involvement in key battles to their establishment of secret societies, left an indelible mark on the country's culture and politics. In many ways, Scotland became a bastion for the Templars, a place where their secrets were protected, their bloodline preserved, and their influence quietly sustained. The Templars' influence on Scotland did not end with the fall of their order. Instead, it may have only begun. The royal bloodline they sought to protect, their sacred knowledge and their secret mission, continued to resonate within the structures of Scottish society. And as we continue to explore the mysteries of the Templar legacy, we must ask, what if the story of the Templars in Scotland is not just a chapter in history, but a key to unlocking the hidden truths of our world today? As the Templars faced persecution and exile, many believed they carried a secret that could change the world, their protection of a sacred bloodline. But what if that bloodline wasn't just any royal family? What if it was the Merovingian dynasty, the mysterious and ancient kings of France? The Merovingians were said to be descended from the early kings of France, but their origins have long been shrouded in mystery. Some scholars believe that this royal line was far more significant than its historical role, perhaps even linked to the bloodline the Templars were sworn to protect. Could the Merovingians be the true heirs to the legacy of the ancient kings of Israel? And could the Templars have been their guardians protecting a royal family with divine rights to rule? The Merovingian dynasty is one of history's most enigmatic royal families. It is often said that the Merovingians ruled France from the 5th to the 8th century, but their origins are unclear, and their sudden disappearance has been the subject of intense speculation. Some historians argue that their bloodline was ancient, stretching back to the time of the early Christian kings. Others believe the Merovingians may have been descended from the kings of Israel, the ancient biblical monarchy that was said to be blessed by God. This theory suggests that the Merovingians were not just royal leaders, but the keepers of a divine bloodline, one that had been passed down through the ages, hidden from public view, and protected by secret societies like the Templars. The connection between the Templars and the Merovingians is not just a matter of blood, but also of ideology. The Templars, as we know, were a religious order, and they were deeply concerned with the protection of sacred knowledge. Some researchers believe that the Templars' primary mission was not just to guard religious artifacts, but to protect the bloodline that had been divinely ordained to rule. According to this theory, the Templars were not simply soldiers of Christ, but defenders of a royal family with a special connection to God. The Merovingians, if they were indeed descended from the kings of Israel, would have been the natural heirs to this divine right. And the Templars, with their vast resources and global network, were uniquely positioned to safeguard this sacred bloodline. But how does this connect to the Merovingians themselves? The most intriguing part of this theory is the claim that the Merovingians were not merely a royal family, but a secret dynasty, one whose true identity was hidden for centuries. The Merovingians were often depicted as mysterious rulers with an air of divine right and supernatural power. Some believe that their royal bloodline carried with it a special knowledge, one that linked them to the ancient kings of Israel, and that this knowledge was passed down through generations. In this view, the Templars were not simply the protectors of the bloodline. They were the custodians of this ancient wisdom, guarding the secrets of a divine lineage that could alter the course of history. There are even claims that the Merovingians continued to rule in secret long after their public reign ended. According to these theories, the Merovingian bloodline was hidden, but it did not disappear. Instead, it is said that descendants of the Merovingians have continued to influence the course of history, operating behind the scenes and quietly shaping the political and religious landscape of Europe. This hidden dynasty is thought to have connections to some of Europe's most powerful families, including those of the royal houses of France, Spain, and England. Could the Templars have been the protectors of this secret lineage, ensuring that the Merovingians would one day rise to power again? One of the most famous proponents of the Merovingian theory is the book The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, which posits that the Merovingians were the direct descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. According to this controversial theory, the Templars were guarding not only the sacred bloodline of Christ, but the physical descendants of that bloodline, the Merovingians. This theory suggests that the Templars were the keepers of an ancient secret, that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married, and their descendants were alive and hidden in the Merovingian family. The Templars' mission, then, was not just to protect religious relics or artifacts, but to safeguard the descendants of Christ himself. While this theory has been heavily criticized by historians, it has also captured the imagination of countless readers and researchers. The idea that the Templars were not just soldiers for Christ, but protectors of a sacred bloodline has become one of the most enduring and controversial aspects of their legacy. Could the Merovingians, with their mysterious origins and divine claim to power, be the key to understanding the true purpose of the Templar Order? And if so, what does that mean for our understanding of history? Regardless of the controversy surrounding the Merovingian theory, one thing is certain. The Templars' relationship with the royal bloodlines of Europe is far more complex than we've been led to believe. Whether they were protecting the Merovingians or another royal family, the Templars were undoubtedly involved in guarding something of immense value, something that transcended wealth, power, and religion. Their mission was to protect a lineage with a divine connection to the past, a bloodline that could change the course of history if revealed. In the end, the question remains, who were the true heirs to the Templar legacy? Were they the Merovingians? Or was the bloodline even more elusive, hidden in plain sight throughout Europe's royal families? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear: the Templars' role in guarding this bloodline, and the knowledge associated with it, has left a lasting impact on history. And as we continue to explore their legacy, the Merovingians may hold the key to unlocking the most profound secret of all. The Templars' influence on European royalty is one of the most intriguing and mysterious aspects of their legacy. Though their military and financial dominance is well documented, their influence on the royal families of Europe remains shrouded in secrecy. The question that emerges is, what role did the Templars play in shaping the fate of European monarchies, and was their involvement with royalty simply a matter of wealth and military alliance? Or was it part of a larger, more intricate plan to protect a hidden bloodline, one that could alter the power structures of Europe forever? To begin, we must understand the Templars' relationship with European royalty during their height in the 12th and 13th centuries. The order's wealth and power were unparalleled, and kings and queens across the continent turned to the Templars for financial assistance, military support, and more intriguingly, protection. The Templars' banking operations, which spanned from Jerusalem to Europe, made them indispensable to European royalty. Monarchs such as King Philip IV of France borrowed vast sums from the Templars, securing loans for wars and lavish royal endeavors. But what did the Templars gain in return? It is believed that the Templars were not merely passive actors in these relationships. They were highly strategic in their alliances, often aligning themselves with royal families that held significant power and influence. But beyond mere alliances, the Templars' connection to royalty may have been more profound. Some theories suggest that the Templars may have had deeper ties to royal bloodlines, using their influence to shape the fates of monarchies and influence royal succession. In this view, the Templars were not simply protecting treasures or guarding holy relics. They were safeguarding something far more valuable: the legacy of a sacred bloodline that could not be allowed to fall into the wrong hands. One of the most compelling theories about the Templars' influence on royalty centers around the idea that they may have secretly intermarried with royal families, planting the seeds for an enduring legacy. Royal marriages were often a matter of political necessity, alliances forged to solidify power. But what if these marriages were more than just political deals? What if, in some cases, the Templars ensured that their sacred bloodline, whether through direct descendants or symbolic connections, was woven into the very fabric of Europe's royal families? The connection between the Templars and the French monarchy is particularly noteworthy. King Philip IV of France, who famously orchestrated the downfall of the Templars, had a complicated relationship with the order. Though he relied on them for financial support, he also feared their growing influence. As the Templars amassed wealth and power, Philip saw them as a threat to his authority. The theory that Philip may have been motivated not only by greed, but also by a desire to control the Templars' secrets, particularly the knowledge of the bloodline they were protecting, has gained traction in historical research. Some believe that Philip's aggressive actions to dismantle the Templars were driven by a need to eliminate a rival bloodline and secure the throne of France for his own family, potentially cutting off any royal claims that might threaten his power. But it's not just the French monarchy that has ties to the Templars. The British royal family has also been linked to the Templars, though the connections are less direct. Throughout the medieval period, England maintained close ties with the Templars, and many English monarchs, including King Henry II and King Richard the Lionheart, had dealings with the order. Some have speculated that the English royal family, like their French counterparts, may have benefited from the Templars' secret knowledge and wealth, using it to secure their position in the broader European power structure. The role of the Templars in shaping European royalty may not be limited to direct alliances and financial dealings. Some historians have proposed that the Templars also played a behind-the-scenes role in shaping the way monarchy itself was conceived in medieval Europe. In this view, the Templars were not merely serving the interests of royalty. They were helping to define the very nature of kingship. The idea of divine right, which became a dominant political theory in the medieval period, holds that monarchs derive their authority directly from God. It is possible that the Templars, as guardians of the sacred bloodline, helped to establish the concept that certain royal families were divinely chosen to rule, creating a lasting political ideology that would influence European monarchies for centuries to come. This connection between the Templars and royal legitimacy becomes even more significant when we consider the bloodline that the Templars may have been protecting. If the Templars were indeed safeguarding the bloodline of a royal family descended from ancient kings, whether the Merovingians or another divine lineage, then their role in shaping royalty becomes even more profound. The Templars may have viewed themselves not just as knights, but as protectors of a divinely ordained order, ensuring that the rightful heirs to the throne were placed in positions of power. This would explain why the Templars were so selective in their alliances, carefully choosing royal families that had the potential to secure the future of this sacred bloodline. The royal influence that the Templars wielded was not just about military strength or financial power, it was about the very concept of authority. In many ways, the Templars helped to define what it meant to be a ruler, shaping the idea that kingship was not just a political position, but a divine calling. As protectors of the bloodline, the Templars were in essence the guardians of divine right. They ensured that the bloodline would be preserved, and that those with the sacred right to rule would always have a place on the throne. As we continue to explore the Templars' role in European royalty, the question remains, what was the true purpose of their involvement with the monarchy? Was it simply a matter of political convenience, or was there a deeper, more profound connection at work? The Templars' legacy in royal history is far from simple. It is a story of power, secrecy, and a bloodline that may have shaped the fate of nations for centuries. Hidden away in the hills of southern France lies one of the most enduring mysteries associated with the Templars, the village of Rennes-le-Château. This quaint, picturesque town has become infamous due to the tantalizing rumors that have swirled around it for centuries. According to legend, Rennes-le-Château is home to one of the greatest secrets in history, a secret tied directly to the Knights Templar and the bloodline they were sworn to protect. But what is this secret, and why has it been so closely guarded? Rennes-le-Château's connection to the Templars is rooted in the mysterious story of a local priest, Béranger Saunière. In the late 19th century, Saunière was entrusted with the small parish of Rennes-le-Château, a position that seemed unremarkable at first. However, within a few years of taking up his post, Saunière's life took a strange turn. It is said that he suddenly became incredibly wealthy, using vast sums of money to refurbish the village church and surrounding areas. The source of his newfound fortune was unclear, but rumors soon began to circulate that he had uncovered a great secret, something buried beneath the very land he lived on. One of the key elements of this story involves Saunier's restoration of the local church, the Church of St. Mary Magdalene. During his renovation work, Saunier allegedly discovered something hidden in the church, possibly an ancient treasure or a long-lost secret. The most famous of these discoveries was a set of cryptic parchments, which some believed contained clues to a deeper mystery. Saunier is said to have become obsessed with these findings, and his actions after uncovering them only fueled the suspicion that he had stumbled upon something far more profound than just historical relics. Could Saunier have uncovered evidence of a Templar connection to Rennes-le-Château? Some theorists believe that he found something that the Templars had hidden long ago, perhaps even a clue about the sacred bloodline that they had been sworn to protect. According to these theories, Rennes-le-Château was more than just a church. It was the final resting place of secrets that the Templars had kept hidden for centuries. The idea is that just as the Templars were protectors of this bloodline, they may have hidden key pieces of evidence in locations across Europe, with Rennes-le-Château being one of the most significant sites. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence in this theory comes from the symbols that Saunier placed throughout the church during his renovations. Many of these symbols, from the design of the altar to the specific placement of various sculptures and carvings, seem to be connected to the Templars. The church's crypts, for example, contain symbols that have been linked to sacred geometry, a hallmark of Templar symbolism. Furthermore, Saunier's work on the church included a mysterious fresco depicting Mary Magdalene, an important figure in Templar lore. This has led some to believe that the priest was, in fact, attempting to reveal the Templars' secret connection to the bloodline of Christ and Mary Magdalene. The most famous clue in Rennes-le-Château's mystery is the series of parchments Saunier allegedly discovered. These documents, which are thought to contain hidden codes, have been a subject of intense scrutiny. Some researchers believe that the parchments contain a genealogical record, perhaps detailing the bloodline that the Templars were sworn to protect. The theory suggests that Saunier uncovered evidence that this bloodline had been secretly preserved in the region for centuries, hidden from the world by the Templars and their descendants. But what happened to these documents? Did Saunier, in his obsession with the secret, hide them away for safekeeping? Or did he share them with others, perhaps entrusting the secret to future generations? As the years passed, the mystery of Rennes-le-Château continued to grow, with more and more people becoming fascinated by the potential connection to the Templars. Speculation about hidden treasures, secret codes, and the true nature of Saunier's discoveries has captured the imaginations of historians, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists alike. The village itself has become a kind of pilgrimage site for those searching for answers, and a wealth of books, documentaries, and theories has emerged in the quest to uncover its secrets. One particularly intriguing aspect of the Rennes-le-Château mystery is the possibility that Saunier's findings were not just related to Templar treasure, but to something far more significant: the revelation of a bloodline that could change the world. If the Templars were in fact protectors of a sacred bloodline, could Saunier have uncovered evidence of its survival? Some believe that the Templars, in their exile and persecution, had passed down this bloodline to future generations, ensuring that it would remain hidden until the right moment. If Saunier had discovered this secret, could he have been preparing to reveal it to the world? Or was he like the Templars before him, bound by an oath to protect it? Whether or not Saunier truly uncovered the Templar secret, the enduring mystery of Rennes-le-Château continues to captivate those searching for hidden truths. The village remains a symbol of the Templars' legacy, an enigma that refuses to be solved, yet holds the promise of a greater revelation. The connection between the Templars, the bloodline they protected, and Rennes-le-Château is still a subject of much debate. However, the very fact that the mystery persists is a testament to the enduring power of the Templars' hidden legacy, a legacy that may still hold secrets capable of altering the course of history. As we continue to peel back the layers of this puzzle, one thing remains certain. The Templars' role in preserving a sacred bloodline is not just a historical curiosity. It's a story that has been hidden for centuries, and the truth may be waiting to be uncovered. Whether or not the secret of Rennes-le-Château is the key, we must keep searching. The mysteries of the Templars are far from over, and what they protect may still lie beneath the surface, hidden in plain sight. As the Templars' physical order was dissolved, their legacy and their secrets did not vanish entirely. Instead, some researchers suggest that a shadowy group known as the Priory of Sion emerged to carry on their mission to protect and preserve the sacred bloodline that the Templars had guarded for centuries. This secret society, often mentioned in popular books and films, is said to have been founded in the 11th century, long before the dissolution of the Templars, and its role in history is even more mysterious and complex than the Templars' own. Could the Priory of Sion be the true inheritor of the Templars' sacred duty? And if so, what was the nature of the bloodline they sought to protect? The Priory of Sion first captured international attention when the legendary book The Da Vinci Code brought it into the limelight. According to the novel, the Priory of Sion is a secret society formed to protect the descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene bloodline descendants hidden from history, their true identity kept secret by an array of religious and political institutions throughout the centuries. While the Da Vinci Code is a work of fiction, it was inspired by the controversial claims made in real-life documents, most notably the Dossier Secrets, a collection of documents that allegedly revealed the Priory's true purpose and history. According to the Dossier Secrets, the Priory of Sion was founded in 1099 at the same time that the First Crusade was raging in the Holy Land. The Society's primary mission, as outlined in these documents, was to protect the sacred bloodline that the Templars had sworn to guard. Some versions of the story suggest that this bloodline was none other than the direct descendants of Jesus Christ himself, whose progeny, according to these theories, survived and intermarried with European royal families. If this is true, then the Priory was established not just to safeguard the descendants of Christ, but to preserve their rightful place in the world. The connection between the Priory of Sion and the Templars is rooted in the idea that both organizations shared a common purpose: to protect and preserve the secret bloodline. This theory proposes that the Priory was not an entirely separate organization from the Templars, but rather a continuation of the same mission, albeit one operating in the shadows outside the public eye. If the Templars were the protectors of the Holy Grail, the Priory was seen as its spiritual and genealogical successor, preserving the sacred bloodline that some believed to be tied to Christ's true heirs. The evidence for the Priory's existence is scant, and much of it is wrapped in mystery. The Dossier's Secrets, which were released in the 1960s, detail the Priory's supposed history, listing famous figures as members including Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and other influential individuals. These documents claim that the Priory's goal was to guide Europe's monarchs not with direct political power, but by ensuring that the bloodline they protected would one day come to rule again. The notion of royal bloodlines, particularly those with a divine connection, ties into the larger narrative of secret societies and hidden legacies, themes that have long captured the imagination of historians and conspiracy theorists alike. But the question arises, what exactly was the Priory of Sion guarding? Some versions of the story suggest that the Priory was protecting the true Grail, the bloodline of Christ, while others claim that they were guarding sacred texts or relics that could reveal the truth about this bloodline. The Grail itself, in many interpretations, is not just a physical object, but a metaphor for the divine right to rule a bloodline that carries the power to shape the course of history. If the Priory was truly the successor to the Templars, They may have inherited the task of keeping this secret bloodline safe from forces that sought to destroy it. One of the most compelling theories surrounding the Priory of Sion and its connection to the Templars revolves around the idea that the Priory played a key role in the politics of medieval Europe, especially in the context of the dynastic struggles of the time. According to some researchers, the Priory's influence was not just religious, but deeply political. They were the hidden architects of royal marriages and alliances maneuvering behind the scenes to ensure that the right bloodline ascended to the throne. The Templars may have even collaborated with the Priory to ensure that the descendants of the sacred bloodline were positioned to rule at the right time, thus ensuring the continuation of their divine right to rule the world. But why was such a secret so important? If the bloodline of Christ, or the royal bloodlines that the Priory protected, were truly so powerful, why go to such great lengths to keep it hidden? The answer lies in the very nature of divine right and the authority that such a bloodline could wield. The idea that a family could possess a direct connection to divinity itself is one of the most potent sources of power politically, spiritually, and symbolically. For centuries, monarchs and elites have sought to either claim this divine right or destroy those who were believed to possess it. Keeping such a powerful secret hidden was crucial to preventing its misuse and to protecting those with the true bloodline. It's important to note that much of what is known about the Priory of Sion, both from the dossier secrets and from the legends that have grown around it, has been the subject of intense debate. Many historians dismiss the Priory's connection to the Templars as pure speculation fueled by conspiracy theories and a desire for intrigue. Others argue that the Priory of Sion may have been a more modest secret society with different objectives altogether. Regardless of the actual truth, the legends surrounding the Priory have undeniably shaped how we view the Templars and their legacy, particularly in the modern era. In the end, whether or not the Priory of Sion truly existed, as described in the dossier secrets, or whether they were the secret heirs to the Templars' mission. One thing is clear: the Templars' mission to protect a sacred bloodline has endured. The Priory, whether real or imagined, serves as a symbol of the enduring nature of this mission, a secret that refuses to fade into the past, and a bloodline that continues to echo through history. For centuries, the legacy of the Templars has been preserved through myths, secret societies, and cryptic symbols. But what if there were more tangible evidence to support the theory that the Templars protected an ancient bloodline? Could genetic testing reveal the truth behind the sacred bloodline the Templars were sworn to protect? While this may sound like science fiction, advancements in modern genetics have opened up new possibilities for tracing lineage possibilities that could uncover the hidden legacy of the Templars and the bloodline they safeguarded. One of the most compelling aspects of the Templar legacy is the notion that they were guardians of a royal, possibly divine bloodline. This bloodline, which some believe traces back to the biblical kings of Israel or even to Jesus Christ himself, is said to have carried with it the power and authority to rule. For centuries, the Templars worked in secret to protect this bloodline, guarding it from those who would seek to destroy or control it. But what if the bloodline has survived to this day, hidden in plain sight, its descendants living among us? Advances in genetic testing and genealogy have made it possible to trace familial lines with remarkable precision. DNA testing can identify familial connections that go back hundreds, even thousands of years. Could this technology be used to confirm the existence of the Templar bloodline? If descendants of the Templars' sacred lineage still exist, modern genetic tests could potentially reveal their identities, offering proof of the bloodline that has been guarded for centuries. One of the key challenges in tracing the Templar bloodline is the fact that many of the records and documents that could offer concrete evidence of their existence have been lost or deliberately destroyed. The Templars' archives were seized by King Philip IV of France during their dissolution, and many of their records were either hidden or lost over time. This makes it difficult to trace their descendants using traditional genealogical methods. However, genetic testing offers a new way to uncover hidden connections, bypassing the need for historical records and instead focusing on the DNA that connects individuals to a specific lineage. In recent years, some researchers have taken it upon themselves to search for genetic evidence that might point to the Templar bloodline. In one high-profile case, geneticists attempted to trace the descendants of the Merovingians, the ancient royal family that some believe the Templars were sworn to protect. According to their theory, the Merovingian dynasty was not only a royal family, but also the descendants of a divine bloodline, one that could be linked to Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. By tracing the DNA of people who claim to be descendants of the Merovingians, scientists hope to uncover proof of the lineage that the Templars guarded. While the results of these genetic tests have been inconclusive, the potential for future discoveries remains. If the Templars did indeed protect a royal bloodline, genetic testing could one day offer the evidence needed to verify their claims. What if in the future DNA testing reveals a direct link between modern individuals and the sacred bloodline the Templars were sworn to protect? This would not only alter our understanding of history, but also shed light on the true nature of the Templars' mission and their role in safeguarding the bloodline. The idea of uncovering a genetic legacy tied to power and divinity is compelling. If the Templars were indeed guardians of such a bloodline, the implications for modern-day descendants are profound. These individuals, if identified, would hold a unique position in history, a connection to an ancient royal family whose bloodline could be traced directly to biblical times. This would not only give them a claim to a divine right to rule, but also connect them to centuries of secretive history with the Templars as their protectors. The search for the Templar bloodline is not just about uncovering a historical mystery. It's about understanding the deeper meaning of legacy power and influence. Could the genetic legacy of the Templars be a key to unlocking the secrets of our past? Could it provide answers to questions about divine authority, royal power, and the hidden forces that have shaped history? While genetic testing has not yet proven the existence of a direct link between modern individuals and the Templar bloodline, it is a promising avenue for further investigation. As technology advances, new discoveries may soon be made, providing tangible evidence to support the centuries-old theories about the Templars and their role as guardians of a sacred bloodline. Until then, the mystery remains, but the possibility that the bloodline continues to live unhidden but not forgotten keeps the Templar legacy alive. The search for the genetic legacy of the Templars is not just about uncovering historical truths. It's about finding the modern-day heirs to a legacy that has been concealed for centuries. As DNA testing advances, we may one day discover the living descendants of the Templars and the sacred bloodline they swore to protect. When that moment comes, the world may change forever as the bloodline that once shaped history steps back into the light, revealing its power and influence once more. The story of the Templars and their connection to the sacred bloodline has been shrouded in mystery for centuries. Yet as time passes and new historical research is conducted, we begin to see that the history we've been taught may not be the complete truth. The narrative of the Templars, like so many other historical stories, has been shaped by centuries of revisionism, political agendas, and deliberate obfuscation. But as modern scholarship challenges long-held assumptions, the true story of the Templars and the bloodline they protected begins to emerge. Historical revisionism is nothing new. In fact, much of our understanding of history has been shaped by those in power. Kings, rulers, and religious authorities have long had the ability to manipulate the historical record, rewriting events to suit their own needs. In the case of the Templars, their dramatic fall at the hands of King Philip IV of France in 1307 left a lasting impact on how they were perceived. The charges of heresy and blasphemy that were levied against the Templars were likely fabricated to justify the seizure of their wealth and power. But these charges, once accepted as fact, became a part of the official narrative, distorting the true nature of the Templar order. It is only in recent decades that scholars have begun to question the narrative surrounding the Templars and their supposed heresy. As more and more historical documents are unearthed, and as new interpretations of old texts are made, we begin to see that the Templars were not simply victims of royal greed, but active participants in a much larger, more complex story. The Templars were not just soldiers of Christ, but defenders of a sacred bloodline, one that had been concealed and protected for centuries. This idea of historical revisionism is crucial to understanding the Templars' legacy. For centuries, the true nature of the Templars' mission has been obscured by the forces that sought to eliminate them. But as modern historians delve deeper into the Templars' history, they are uncovering evidence that challenges the official story. The Templars, it seems, were not simply a medieval military order. They were the keepers of a secret that has been hidden from the world for centuries, the sacred bloodline that could reshape the course of history. One of the key pieces of evidence that has emerged in recent years is the connection between the Templars and the Merovingians, the ancient royal dynasty of France. As we've discussed, some historians believe that the Merovingians were not just kings, but the descendants of a divine bloodline possibly linked to Jesus Christ himself. If this is true, then the Templars' role as guardians of this bloodline takes on a new, more profound meaning. The Templars were not just fighting for power or wealth. They were protecting the very foundation of royal authority, the bloodline that would one day return to claim its rightful place in history. But why, after all these centuries, has this story remained hidden? Why were the Templars' true mission concealed for so long? One reason may lie in the desire of political and religious authorities to control the narrative of history. The idea that a sacred bloodline existed, one that had the power to challenge the monarchy and the church, would have been deeply threatening to the established order. If such a bloodline were ever revealed, it could upend the entire political and religious structure of Europe. So for centuries, the Templars were portrayed as heretics and villains, their true mission buried beneath layers of falsehoods and distortions. Yet despite these efforts to suppress the truth, the story of the Templars has continued to resonate through the ages. From the legends of hidden treasures to the cryptic symbols embedded in Templar architecture, the legacy of the Templars has never truly disappeared. Even in the face of centuries of historical revisionism, the truth of their mission, the protection of a sacred bloodline, has remained an enduring mystery waiting to be uncovered. The shifting sands of history have made it difficult to uncover the full truth about the Templars. But the evidence that has emerged in recent years points to a much deeper, more complex story than previously thought. The Templars were not simply a medieval military order. They were part of a much larger, secretive network that spanned centuries and continents. Their mission was not just to protect religious relics, but to preserve a bloodline with a divine right to rule, a bloodline whose legacy continues to influence the world today. As we continue to explore the Templar legacy, we must remember that history is not a static entity. It is a constantly evolving narrative shaped by those who tell the story. The truth about the Templars and the bloodline they protected has been obscured for centuries, but the pieces of the puzzle are slowly coming together. As we dig deeper into the past, we may soon uncover the full extent of the Templars' influence on history and reveal the secrets that have been hidden for so long. What does this mean for our understanding of the Templars and their place in history? It means that the story of the Templars is far from over. The legacy of the Templars, what they protected, what they stood for, and the bloodline they safeguarded, is still very much alive. And as we continue to challenge the historical record and uncover new evidence, we may one day find that the truth about the Templars is even more extraordinary than we ever imagined. The story of the Templars doesn't end with their fall from grace in Europe. While most believe that the order was disbanded, its secrets, and perhaps even its members, may have crossed the Atlantic, laying the foundation for a new chapter of their history in the New World. For centuries, there have been whispers about Templar influence in the Americas, especially in the context of the early explorers, such as Christopher Columbus. Were the Templars truly involved in the exploration of the New World? And if so, did they bring their hidden legacy with them? Could their influence have helped shape the foundation of America itself? One of the most intriguing theories regarding the Templars in the Americas is the claim that Christopher Columbus, the famed Italian explorer credited with discovering the New World, was somehow connected to the secret order. Columbus's journey to the Americas in 1492 is well documented, but much about his personal life remains a mystery. Some researchers believe that Columbus, in addition to being a navigator and explorer, was also a member of the Templar network, or at the very least a secret society that carried on the Templars' mission. The theory that Columbus had Templar connections is based on a combination of circumstantial evidence, historical gaps, and the symbols associated with his expeditions. One of the most notable pieces of evidence is the flag that Columbus sailed under, which some researchers claim contains symbols closely associated with the Templars, including the Red Cross. Additionally, the timing of Columbus's voyage, just as the Templars were being suppressed in Europe, suggests that the order may have been seeking new territories to safeguard their treasures and secrets. The idea that Columbus might have been a Templar, or at least a sympathizer with their cause, has captivated historians and conspiracy theorists alike. But if Columbus was indeed connected to the Templars, what role did he play in the larger narrative of their mission? Some theories suggest that Columbus, as a prominent explorer, was tasked with finding new lands to continue the Templars' work in secret. It is believed by some that Columbus's voyage was not merely an attempt to find a new route to Asia, but a deliberate effort to establish a foothold for the Templars in the Americas, where they could continue to protect the sacred bloodline and the hidden knowledge they had been guarding for centuries. Beyond Columbus, there are other theories that suggest the Templars may have been involved with the discovery and colonization of the Americas in a broader sense. Some believe that the Templars, fleeing persecution in Europe, may have crossed the Atlantic in the 14th century, well before Columbus establishing settlements in the New World. This theory suggests that the Templars might have come into contact with indigenous civilizations, potentially exchanging knowledge treasures, or even guarding sacred relics. If such a migration did take place, it could explain why some Templar symbols and artifacts have been found in areas of North and South America, hinting at a much older European presence in the Americas than previously thought. In addition to Columbus and early explorers, there are also theories that suggest the founding of the United States itself may have been influenced by the hidden legacy of the Templars. The Freemasons, a secret society with deep roots in Templar symbolism, played a significant role in the American Revolution and the formation of the United States. Many of the founding fathers, including George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, were members of the Freemasons, and the symbols of the Templars are often intertwined with Masonic iconography. The connection between the Freemasons and the Templars is well documented, and some researchers believe that the founding of America was in part the culmination of centuries of Templar influence. According to this theory, the Templars were not just trying to protect the bloodline of kings, they were also laying the groundwork for a new world order, one that would be founded on the principles of freedom, equality, and secrecy. In this view, the United States itself could be seen as a continuation of the Templar mission, a nation built on the ideals of hidden knowledge, divine right, and the protection of a sacred bloodline. The idea that the Templars played a role in the founding of the United States is not without its critics. Some argue that the connection between the Templars and the Freemasons is tenuous at best, and that the Templars' influence on American history has been exaggerated. However, the enduring presence of Templar symbols and ideas in American iconography cannot be ignored. From the all-seeing eye on the Great Seal of the United States to the use of the compass and square in Masonic rituals, Templar imagery is deeply embedded in American culture. Whether or not the Templars directly influenced the founding of the United States, it's clear that their legacy continues to reverberate throughout history. As we consider the possibility of Templar influence in the Americas, it's important to remember that the true extent of their involvement is still shrouded in mystery. What we do know is that the Templars were a powerful, secretive force with far-reaching influence, and the idea that they could have had a hand in the exploration settlement and even the founding of the Americas is not as far-fetched as it might first appear. The Templars were guardians of a secret legacy, one that transcended borders and time, and it's possible that they saw the New World as a place where their mission could continue away from the prying eyes of European rulers and the Catholic Church. Whether or not the Templars truly crossed the Atlantic to the Americas, the connection between their legacy and the New World is undeniable. The search for their influence in the Americas continues, and as we dig deeper into the hidden corners of history, we may one day uncover the full extent of the Templars' impact on the formation of the modern world. For now, their story continues to fascinate, inspire, and mystify those who seek the truth of the Templar legacy and the bloodline they protected. The story of the Templars is inextricably linked to the history of the Vatican. As a powerful religious institution, the Vatican not only oversaw the spiritual affairs of Europe, but also played a significant role in the political maneuverings of the time. The rise and fall of the Templars, particularly their suppression in the early 14th century, is often seen as a battle for control over both material and spiritual power. But what if the Vatican's role in the destruction of the Templars was not just about greed or politics? What if it was driven by the need to protect a much darker secret, one that the Templars had sworn to guard, and which, if revealed, could have shaken the foundations of the Church itself? At the heart of this theory lies the accusation that the Vatican, in its efforts to dissolve the Templar order, was not merely acting out of a desire to control their wealth, but was attempting to erase a dangerous truth. The Templars had grown incredibly wealthy and influential by the time of their suppression, controlling vast lands, building fortresses, and even operating an early form of banking. But beyond their wealth, the Templars were believed to be protectors of sacred relics and ancient knowledge. Some theories suggest that the Templars' true purpose was not only military and financial. They were custodians of a bloodline, possibly the descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, that the Vatican could not allow to come to light. The Vatican's fear of the Templars was rooted in the possibility that this bloodline could challenge the very authority of the Church. If the Templars were indeed the protectors of a sacred family with a divine right to rule, then the Church, with its claim to spiritual authority, might be undermined. The idea that Jesus Christ's descendants might still be alive and could claim a legitimate right to the throne was a threat to the papacy. As the Templars were closely associated with the Holy Grail and other sacred relics, it is believed by some that these items were not simply religious artifacts, but symbols of a power that could challenge the Vatican's authority. One of the most intriguing aspects of this theory is the alleged connection between the Templars and the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark, according to biblical accounts, is said to be the container of the Ten Commandments, and its importance is paramount in both Jewish and Christian traditions. It was believed to possess divine power and could be a physical manifestation of God's presence on earth. According to some researchers, the Templars discovered the Ark during their time in Jerusalem, and they may have kept it hidden to protect its power from falling into the wrong hands, perhaps the very hands of the Vatican, which might have used it to assert even greater control over the Christian world. If the Templars were indeed in possession of such powerful artifacts, the Vatican would have had a vested interest in eliminating them. The arrest and execution of the Templar leaders in 1307, orchestrated by King Philip IV of France with the blessing of Pope Clement V, could then be seen not as a simple political maneuver, but as an act of desperation on the part of the Church to protect its control over the Christian world. The Vatican, fearing that the Templars were a rival force that could challenge the legitimacy of the papacy, sought to dismantle them and destroy any trace of the sacred bloodline they guarded. But if the Templars were indeed protecting such a significant secret, the question arises what happened to these relics and the bloodline they guarded. Some theories suggest that the Templars were able to escape with their treasures and secrets before their downfall. They may have fled to remote regions of Europe such as Scotland, where they continued their work in secrecy, preserving the bloodline and the knowledge of its true significance. Others believe that the relics, including the Ark, may have been hidden in plain sight, encoded in symbols and secret messages that only the initiated could understand. One of the most famous theories surrounding the Vatican's involvement in the suppression of the Templars is the idea that the Church itself was attempting to keep the true nature of Christ's teachings and the holy bloodline hidden from the world. Some argue that the Church deliberately altered the biblical narrative, suppressing texts and gospels that contradicted the accepted story of Christianity. These gospels, such as the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which depicts her as a prominent figure in Christ's life, have been excluded from the canonical Bible. The theory suggests that the Vatican, in its quest to maintain control over the Christian narrative, actively sought to erase any evidence of the sacred bloodline that the Templars were believed to have protected. In this view, the Vatican's role in the destruction of the Templars was not just about consolidating power. It was about controlling the very story of Christianity. The Templars' knowledge of the hidden bloodline and the sacred relics associated with it posed a direct threat to the Church's monopoly on religious authority. If the Templars had been allowed to continue their mission, they could have revealed a different version of Christ's life, a version that did not center solely around the Church's teachings, but one that suggested a more expansive and possibly more radical view of Christ's legacy. As we explore these theories, we are faced with one fundamental question. What was the Vatican truly protecting when it orchestrated the Templar purge? Was it simply the wealth of the order, or was there a deeper, more esoteric secret at play? One that could unravel the very foundations of Christian faith and challenge the Vatican's position as the sole arbiter of religious authority. What we do know is that the Templars' legacy, their secrets, and their mission to protect a sacred bloodline have endured. Even as the Vatican sought to destroy them, the Templars' story has continued to captivate those who seek the hidden truths of history. Whether the Church was attempting to suppress the bloodline, the Grail, or other divine artifacts, the Templars' role as guardians of these secrets has left a lasting mark on history. The Vatican's fear of the Templars and the bloodline they protected remains one of the most powerful and enduring aspects of this centuries-old mystery. The Templars' involvement in the Crusades was far more than a religious duty. They were key players in a broader, centuries-long conflict that helped shape the destiny of the medieval world. The Crusades, launched in the 11th century, to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim rule, provided the perfect opportunity for the Templars to forge their place in history. But their motivations and actions during these wars may have been far more complex than we've been led to believe. Could the Templars have used the Crusades as a cover to further a hidden agenda, one centered on protecting the sacred bloodline they were entrusted with? The Templars were founded in 1119 during the aftermath of the First Crusade, when a small group of knights banded together to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. From this humble beginning, they quickly rose to prominence, their numbers swelling and their influence growing exponentially. By the time of the Second Crusade, 1147–1149, the Templars had become one of the most powerful military orders in Europe, with an international network of castles, fortresses, and estates. At the heart of the Crusades lay the city of Jerusalem, a site of immense religious significance to Christians, Jews, and Muslims alike. For the Templars, however, the Crusades were not simply a mission to reclaim holy sites. They were also an opportunity to protect something far more precious, their sacred bloodline. Some researchers argue that the Templars' true role in the Crusades was not just to fight for control of Jerusalem, but to safeguard ancient knowledge relics and the very bloodline that they had sworn to protect. This theory suggests that the Templars' true purpose was not to spread Christianity or reclaim territory, but to ensure that the legacy of the royal bloodline remained hidden from the world. One of the key moments in the Templars' involvement in the Crusades came during the First Crusade, when they helped secure Jerusalem for Christian control. But what if their efforts weren't just about religious devotion? Some scholars believe that during their time in Jerusalem, the Templars may have uncovered hidden knowledge, relics, documents, or artifacts that confirmed the existence of a royal bloodline with ties to Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. The idea that the Templars were guarding a bloodline during the Crusades is often tied to the legends surrounding the Holy Grail, a sacred relic believed to hold immense power. The Grail, according to some theories, is not just a cup, but a symbol of this sacred bloodline, and the Templars were charged with keeping it safe from those who would seek to exploit its power. But the question remains, was the Templars' interest in Jerusalem merely religious, or did they have an ulterior motive? Some historians suggest that the Crusades provided the perfect cover for the Templars to establish a stronghold in the Holy Land, where they could protect the bloodline and sacred relics they were entrusted with. By controlling key territories and fortresses in the Holy Land, the Templars could ensure that the secrets they guarded remained safe from outside interference. The connection between the Templars and the Crusades goes beyond just their military role. As the Crusades progressed, the Templars became increasingly involved in the politics of the region. They played a crucial role in negotiating with Muslim leaders, forging alliances with powerful figures, and securing territories for Christian rule. Some even argue that the Templars' political influence was a key factor in their rise to power, enabling them to not only protect the bloodline, but also establish themselves as an influential force in European and Middle Eastern affairs. But as the Crusades began to wind down, the Templars' role in the Holy Land took on a different, more secretive nature. The Templars may have begun to shift their focus from military conquest to the preservation of the bloodline they had sworn to protect. With the loss of Jerusalem in 1187, the Crusades began to falter, and the Templars may have recognized that their military mission was no longer viable. However, their true mission to protect the sacred bloodline and the knowledge tied to it remained as important as ever. As the Templars' involvement in the Crusades diminished, their influence in Europe only grew. They used the wealth and resources they had amassed during the Crusades to establish a vast network of castles, estates, and strongholds across Europe. But the question arises, were these fortresses simply a means of protecting Templar wealth, or were they strategically placed to protect something far more important? Something hidden beneath the surface of their public activities? Could the Templars have been using these strongholds as a way to preserve the secrets they had uncovered in the Holy Land, ensuring that the bloodline they protected would remain safe from those who might seek to destroy it. The Crusades, with their religious fervor and political intrigue, provided the perfect environment for the Templars to operate in secrecy, safeguarding their hidden mission, while appearing to be pious knights on a holy quest. The Templars' true role in the Crusades, then, may have been far more complex than we've been taught. While they undoubtedly played a key role in the military aspects of the Crusades, their involvement may have been driven by a far deeper purpose, one centered on the protection of a sacred bloodline hidden from the world for centuries. As we move forward in our exploration of the Templars' legacy, we must ask ourselves, what was the real purpose behind the Templars' involvement in the Crusades? Were they simply fighting for religious dominance, or were they in fact safeguarding a legacy that could change the course of history? The answer may lie not in the battles they fought, but in the secrets they kept hidden, the bloodline they were sworn to protect. As we continue to explore the story of the Templars and their legacy, we begin to encounter an intriguing question. How many prominent historical figures could be descended from the sacred bloodline the Templars were sworn to protect? The idea that royal bloodlines and hidden legacies persist through history has long been a subject of fascination. Could it be that throughout the centuries, members of the Templar-protected bloodline have quietly carried the torch, living among us without our knowledge? What if the bloodline that the Templars protected, one tied to ancient kings and divine right, continues to influence the course of history today, hidden in plain sight? One of the key aspects of the Templar legacy is the idea that their mission was not simply about guarding relics or treasure, but about preserving a sacred bloodline. Some believe that this bloodline can be traced back to the earliest days of Christianity, possibly even to Jesus Christ himself. The Templars were believed to be guardians of this bloodline, ensuring that its descendants would remain safe and protected from those who sought to erase them from history. But what if the descendants of this bloodline are still alive today, living among us as part of powerful and influential families? One of the most intriguing aspects of this theory is the idea that the descendants of the Templar bloodline could be found in some of the most prominent families in history. From royalty to political leaders, from business moguls to cultural icons, some theorists believe that the Templar-protected bloodline has continued to influence world events for centuries. Whether through direct ancestry or through strategic alliances, the descendants of this bloodline may be scattered across the globe, quietly shaping the course of history. In the royal families of Europe, for instance, many people have speculated that certain monarchs, particularly those who claimed divine right to rule, may have had secret ties to the Templar bloodline. The idea that European royalty could be directly descended from the sacred lineage that the Templars protected is a powerful one. The Merovingians, the ancient royal family of France, are often cited as the most likely candidates for this bloodline. Some researchers argue that the Merovingians were not just ordinary kings, but descendants of a divine bloodline, one that stretches back to the ancient kings of Israel, and possibly even to Jesus Christ himself. If this theory is true, then the Templars' mission to protect this bloodline would have been of utmost importance, and their efforts to safeguard it would have been the driving force behind their rise to power. However, the connection between the Templars and European royalty does not end with the Merovingians. There are also claims that other royal families, including the British monarchy, may have ties to the Templar bloodline. The marriage of royal families throughout Europe often involved strategic alliances, and some believe that these alliances were designed to protect and perpetuate the Templars' sacred mission. In this view, the bloodline was passed down through these royal families, hidden beneath layers of political maneuvering and secrecy. But the influence of the Templar bloodline is not limited to royalty. Some believe that the bloodline has also made its way into the world of business and politics. The theory suggests that powerful families and influential figures in modern society may be descendants of the Templars, their lineage carefully guarded and preserved over the centuries. These individuals may not be aware of their ancestral connection, but they could carry with them the inherited influence of a bloodline that has been intertwined with history for thousands of years. The role of secret societies in preserving and protecting this bloodline is another key aspect of this theory. The Freemasons in particular have long been associated with the Templars, and some researchers believe that the Masons continue the Templar mission to protect the sacred bloodline. Freemasonry is a secretive organization that traces its origins back to medieval guilds and the Templar Knights. Many of its symbols and rituals are believed to be derived from Templar traditions, and it is said that the Masons have continued to guard the Templar secrets, including the hidden bloodline. If this is true, then the Masons may hold the key to understanding the continued influence of the Templar legacy in the modern world. The idea of hidden bloodlines continues to captivate the imagination, and the Templars' connection to powerful historical figures adds a layer of intrigue to their already mysterious legacy. If the Templars did in fact protect a sacred bloodline, then the descendants of that bloodline could still be alive today, hidden within the ranks of influential families. As we continue to explore the story of the Templars, the question remains, who are these hidden figures, and what role do they continue to play in shaping the course of history? Could the bloodline the Templars protected still hold the key to understanding the true nature of power? Could the descendants of this bloodline still be among us, quietly exerting influence from the shadows? As we piece together the fragments of this centuries-old mystery, we may find that the Templar legacy is far from over. The bloodline they protected could still be waiting to step into the light, ready to reveal the truth about its role in shaping the world. And if that truth is ever revealed, it could change everything we thought we knew about history. The Holy Grail, an object of mystery legend and religious intrigue. It is a symbol of power, purity, and divine favor, and for centuries, the quest for the Grail has captured the imagination of both scholars and adventurers alike. While its depiction in popular culture often paints it as a simple chalice associated with Christ's Last Supper, many believe the true meaning of the Holy Grail goes far deeper. Some argue that the Grail is not just an artifact, but a symbol of the Templars' mission, the protection of a sacred bloodline. Could the Grail have represented more than just a cup? Could it have been a key to preserving the royal bloodline the Templars were sworn to protect? The Templars were closely linked to the Grail from the moment they arrived in the Holy Land. After establishing themselves in Jerusalem in the early 12th century, the Templars became guardians of the sacred sites in the region. As they dug beneath the Temple of Solomon, an area considered to be of great religious significance, they are believed by some to have uncovered something far greater than religious relics. They may have discovered the Holy Grail itself. The exact nature of the Grail and its connection to the Templars remains one of history's greatest mysteries. According to certain theories, the Templars did not merely guard a physical cup, but a much more powerful symbol, one that represented a hidden truth about the bloodline of Christ. Some researchers believe that the Grail was not an object of simple religious significance, but a metaphor for the bloodline of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. This theory suggests that the Templars, in their role as guardians, sought to protect the descendants of this bloodline, ensuring that they would remain hidden from the forces that sought to destroy them. While many believe that the Templars' true purpose was to protect the Grail, others argue that their interest in the Grail was tied to their desire for power. According to these theories, the Templars understood that the Grail held a secret, the bloodline of Christ, that if revealed, could alter the balance of power in the Christian world. The Church, with its claims to divine authority, would not have tolerated the existence of such a bloodline, which would challenge its role as the supreme spiritual authority. In this view, the Templars' role as guardians of the Grail was not only a religious duty, but also a means of protecting a legacy that could undermine the Church's monopoly on spiritual and political power. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Grail's connection to the Templars is the idea that the Grail's power was tied to its preservation. If the Grail symbolized the bloodline of Christ, then it represented not just a physical object, but the continuation of a divine right to rule. In this view, the Templars were not simply protecting the Grail for its religious significance, but as a means of safeguarding the royal bloodline that carried with it the power to rule Europe. The bloodline, though hidden for centuries, was believed to have divine favor, a favor that could one day restore its rightful heirs to power. The idea that the Grail's significance was tied to a royal bloodline is supported by the many legends and myths surrounding the Grail's location and purpose. Throughout history, many individuals have claimed to have discovered the Grail, or at least its meaning. In the 12th and 13th centuries, the search for the Grail became a central theme in the literature and folklore of medieval Europe. The Grail legends told stories of knights and heroes who embarked on quests to find the Grail, often encountering trials and tribulations along the way. But what if these stories were not just allegories, but veiled references to the Templars' true mission, to protect a sacred family lineage that had been hidden for centuries? In the modern era, the search for the Grail has gained renewed interest, especially in light of books and films like the Da Vinci Code. In the novel, the Grail is revealed to be a symbol of the sacred bloodline of Christ and Mary Magdalene, and the story follows a quest to uncover this hidden legacy. This interpretation, though fictional, echoes many of the ideas surrounding the Templars' true role. Could the Grail have been more than just a cup? Could it have been a symbol of the divine right to rule tied to the Templar mission to protect the sacred bloodline? If the Templars did indeed discover the Grail and its true meaning, it raises a fascinating question: what happened to it? Some believe that the Templars took the Grail with them as they fled persecution in the early 14th century, hiding it in secret locations across Europe, perhaps in places like Rennes-le-Château or the Scottish Highlands. Others speculate that the Grail was not a physical object, but a set of hidden documents or genealogical records detailing the sacred bloodline that the Templars had sworn to protect. The idea that the Grail is not an object at all, but a hidden legacy, continues to captivate historians and treasure hunters alike. Regardless of its physical form, the Grail remains one of the most enduring symbols of the Templars' mission. The quest for the Grail represents more than just a search for an artifact. It is a search for the truth about the divine bloodline that the Templars were sworn to protect. Whether the Grail is a cup, a set of documents, or a hidden family lineage, it remains a powerful symbol of the Templars' true purpose: the preservation of a legacy that stretches back to the very origins of Christianity. The Templars' connection to the Grail continues to fascinate and intrigue, and as we explore their hidden legacy, we may one day uncover the truth behind the Grail, and with it, the true purpose of the Templars' mission. Could the Grail hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of the Templar bloodline, or is it simply a symbol of a long-lost power that once shaped the course of history? Whatever the answer, the Grail remains an enduring enigma, one that continues to captivate our imaginations and spark our desire to uncover the secrets of the past. The Knights Templar were known for their secrecy, discipline, and their cryptic symbols, but perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of their legacy is the belief that they left behind hidden messages encoded in their rituals, artwork, and even in the very architecture of the places they built. Could these codes have been designed to preserve the Templar mission and protect the sacred bloodline they were sworn to defend? If so, what did these hidden messages mean, and how have they been passed down through the centuries? The Templars were master builders and designers with an eye for symbolism. They constructed castles, churches, and fortresses across Europe and the Holy Land, and it is believed by some researchers that these buildings were not only designed for military defense, but also as vessels for hidden knowledge. Certain structures, such as the famous Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, are said to be filled with Templar symbols, many of which have been the subject of intense study and debate. These symbols, ranging from intricate carvings to geometrical patterns, are believed to be coded messages, pointing to deeper truths about the Templars' mission, their religious beliefs, and the sacred bloodline they protected. One of the most prominent features of Templar symbolism is the use of sacred geometry. This ancient practice, which involves the use of mathematical patterns and ratios to create harmonious designs, was a central aspect of Templar architecture. The use of sacred geometry in Templar buildings, particularly in the construction of their churches and chapels, suggests that the order was not only concerned with religious faith, but with esoteric knowledge that transcended traditional Christian teachings. Sacred geometry, which some argue is tied to the understanding of the universe and divine creation, may have been a tool the Templars used to encode their hidden messages that only the initiated could understand. For example, the layout of certain Templar churches, such as those in Templecombe, London, and Temple Church in Paris, is thought to incorporate geometrical patterns that have significant meaning. These designs are believed to mirror the layout of ancient temples, suggesting that the Templars were not just building places of worship, but creating sacred spaces where hidden knowledge could be preserved and passed down through the generations. Some even speculate that these geometrical patterns are a way of referencing the secret bloodline, with each design containing clues to its origins and its significance. The Templars also left behind symbols in the form of their famous seals, one of the most recognizable being the seal with two knights riding on a single horse. While the meaning of this symbol has been debated, it is often seen as a representation of the Templars' close-knit brotherhood and shared mission. However, some researchers believe that the two knights riding together may symbolize the dual nature of the Templars' mission, both a military order dedicated to protecting Christian pilgrims and a secret society tasked with safeguarding a sacred bloodline. The seal could therefore be seen as a clue to the Templars' true purpose, one that was hidden beneath the surface of their public activities. Another key element of Templar symbolism is the use of the cross. The Templars' distinctive red cross was not only a mark of their religious devotion, but also a symbol of their hidden knowledge. The cross is often linked to the idea of divine right and power, and some believe that the Templars' use of the cross was a way of signaling their allegiance to a higher purpose, a purpose that went beyond mere religious duty and involved the protection of a divine bloodline. The presence of these symbols and codes in Templar structures raises an important question. Were the Templars using their architecture and artwork to encode a hidden message? If so, what was the message and who were they intended for? Some theorists believe that these hidden messages were meant to be decoded by future generations, those who would one day have the knowledge to understand the Templars' true purpose. These messages may have been a way for the Templars to pass down their legacy and protect their secrets, ensuring that the mission they had begun would continue long after their fall. The idea that the Templars encoded their messages in their architecture, rituals, and symbols points to a much deeper and more complex understanding of their order. The Templars were not merely warriors fighting in the Crusades. They were initiates in a larger esoteric tradition, one that spanned centuries and continents. The secrets they guarded were not just physical relics, but also metaphysical knowledge which could be passed down through generations in the form of symbols, codes, and hidden messages. As we continue to explore the Templar Code and its hidden messages, we must ask ourselves, what was the true purpose of these codes? Were they simply a way for the Templars to preserve their mission in the face of persecution? Or did they have a more profound significance, one that relates to the sacred bloodline they were sworn to protect? Could these hidden messages still be waiting to be decoded, offering us a glimpse into a secret history that has remained hidden for centuries? The idea that the Templars left behind a coded message hidden in plain sight is both thrilling and mysterious. As we peel back the layers of this secret history, we may one day uncover the true meaning behind these symbols and codes. What we know for certain is that the Templars' legacy continues to resonate, and their hidden messages remain one of the most enduring aspects of their story. As we venture deeper into the mysteries surrounding the Knights Templar, one question inevitably arises: who are the modern-day heirs to the Templar legacy? The order may have been officially disbanded centuries ago, but the Templars' influence is far from gone. Could it be that the descendants of the sacred bloodline they were sworn to protect still exist today, quietly shaping the world behind the scenes? If the Templars were truly the guardians of a bloodline that spanned millennia, then the descendants of that bloodline might hold the key to understanding the true purpose of the order. The idea of modern-day Templar descendants is one that has fascinated researchers and conspiracy theorists for years. If the Templars were indeed protecting a bloodline with divine or royal significance, then it follows that the descendants of this bloodline might still be alive today. But how could we identify these descendants? Could they be living among us, their true heritage hidden from the world? One theory suggests that the descendants of the Templar bloodline are not just to be found in royal families, but in prominent figures across various fields, from politics to business to the arts. After all, the Templars were not only a military order, they were also deeply involved in the political, financial, and intellectual life of medieval Europe. They forged alliances with powerful families, and many of their secrets were passed down through these alliances. It is possible that the bloodline they protected has continued through these family connections, quietly influencing world events, without ever being recognized for what it truly is. Some researchers point to the Freemasons as a potential conduit for the continuation of the Templar legacy. As we've seen, the Freemasons are widely believed to be the spiritual and ideological descendants of the Templars, and many of the symbols and rituals used by the Freemasons can be traced back to the Templars themselves. If the Templars' mission was to preserve a sacred bloodline, then it stands to reason that the Freemasons, whose influence spans across centuries, might have been entrusted with guarding this legacy. Could the modern-day Freemasons be the keepers of the Templar bloodline, preserving it for future generations? In addition to secret societies, there are also claims that certain powerful families around the world, many of whom hold immense wealth and influence, are descendants of the Templar bloodline. The idea that the bloodline has survived for centuries hidden within the ranks of noble or aristocratic families is an alluring one. Some theorists suggest that these families may not even be aware of their connection to the Templars, and that their heritage has been deliberately obscured to protect it from those who would seek to control or exploit it. This theory of hidden descendants is not just confined to Europe. Some believe that the Templar bloodline could have traveled far beyond the shores of Europe, possibly reaching the Americas. As we've explored earlier, there are numerous theories suggesting that the Templars may have crossed the Atlantic before the official arrival of Columbus, establishing settlements and hiding their treasures and perhaps their bloodline in the New World. If this is true, then it is possible that Templar descendants are scattered across the globe from Europe to the Americas, unknowingly carrying the legacy of the order. But could there be more to the story? Some researchers believe that the modern-day heirs to the Templar bloodline may not be aware of their heritage at all. Could it be that the Templars deliberately hid their descendants in plain sight, keeping them safe from the prying eyes of both the Church and secular authorities? The idea that descendants of the Templar bloodline could be living among us unaware of their own heritage is both fascinating and unsettling. What would it mean if these individuals were to discover the truth about their ancestry? Could the revelation of their lineage spark a new chapter in the Templar story, one that would carry their mission forward into the modern world? As we consider the possibility of modern-day Templar descendants, we must also ask, what role would these individuals play in the ongoing story of the Templars and their legacy? If the bloodline that the Templars protected still exists today, what is its significance? Does the bloodline carry with it special powers or divine favor, as some believe? And if so, what would it mean for the future of humanity? The Templars' influence on history has been profound, and their legacy continues to resonate even centuries after their official dissolution. The idea that their descendants might still be active today is a tantalizing one, and it raises a host of questions about the nature of power, lineage, and secrecy. The true story of the Templars may not be over. Rather, it could be waiting for the right moment to emerge from the shadows and reveal the hidden truths about their mission, their bloodline, and their place in the world's ongoing story. Whether or not the descendants of the Templars are living among us today, the idea that their legacy still carries weight is one that continues to captivate. The Templars were guardians of a secret that has endured for centuries, passed down through hidden lines and concealed knowledge. As we continue to explore the story of the Templars and their bloodline, we may one day discover that the legacy they left behind is still very much alive, waiting to be revealed to a world that is ready to uncover the truth. As we've unraveled the threads of the Templar story, we find ourselves standing at a crossroads between legend and reality. The Knights Templar were without a doubt a powerful and influential force during their time, and their enduring legacy continues to captivate modern minds. But as we look deeper into their history, their symbols and their mission, one central question remains: what was the true purpose behind their existence, and what exactly did they protect? The official narrative tells us that the Templars were a military order founded to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, but as we have explored, the reality may have been far more complex. Their sudden rise to prominence, their vast wealth, and the mysterious nature of their rituals suggest that their mission was not merely military or religious, but something more esoteric, something that tied them to a hidden legacy that spanned millennia. At the heart of the Templar legacy is the idea that they were the guardians of a sacred bloodline, a bloodline whose significance transcended the boundaries of time and place. Whether that bloodline was tied to ancient kings, to biblical figures like Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, or to a more obscure royal lineage, the Templars' role as protectors of this bloodline seems to have been the true driving force behind their actions. From their involvement in the Crusades to their role in the creation of secret societies, the Templars' purpose may have been to ensure that this bloodline remained hidden, preserved, and protected from those who would seek to destroy it. The Templars' downfall in the early 14th century is a critical turning point in this story. Their sudden betrayal by King Philip IV of France in collaboration with Pope Clement V was a result of more than just political maneuvering. It was an attempt to extinguish a dangerous secret. The charges of heresy, blasphemy, and corruption levied against the Templars were likely fabricated to justify their destruction, but the true motive may have been to suppress the knowledge of the bloodline they guarded. If the Templars were indeed protecting a royal lineage with a divine claim to rule, then their eradication was necessary to maintain the status quo. But despite their fall, the Templar legacy did not disappear. The Order's secrets were not completely erased. Instead, they were passed down through hidden channels embedded in the symbols, rituals, and architecture of later secret societies, most notably the Freemasons. The idea that the Templars' knowledge and mission were preserved by these secret societies speaks to the endurance of their legacy. The bloodline that the Templars protected may still be with us today, carried forward by descendants who remain unaware of their true heritage. This hidden legacy continues to resonate through the centuries, shaping history in ways that remain largely unseen. The question of the Templars' true purpose is also intricately tied to the Holy Grail. While many believe the Grail is a physical object, there is a compelling theory that it represents more than just a relic. It symbolizes the bloodline itself. The Templars, according to this view, were not simply guarding a cup, but the very legacy of Christ and his descendants. This idea, which has been popularized in modern media and literature, suggests that the Grail was not merely an artifact of religious significance, but a key to understanding the divine right to rule aright that could have shifted the power dynamics of medieval Europe. As we explore the Templar legacy, we must also consider the role of history itself. The Templars were not merely pawns in the political games of kings and popes. They were active participants in shaping the course of history, working behind the scenes to protect a bloodline that could alter the fate of nations. Their involvement in the Crusades, their role in the creation of Europe's financial systems, and their connection to secret societies all point to the idea that the Templars were not just soldiers. They were keepers of a hidden truth, a truth that continues to elude us. The true legacy of the Templars may never be fully revealed. Much of what they protected, the bloodline, the Grail, the sacred knowledge, remains hidden, locked away in symbols and codes, waiting for someone to decipher its meaning. But the Templars' influence has endured, quietly shaping the world through their descendants, their secret societies, and the myths that continue to surround them. Whether or not the bloodline they protected still exists, its legacy is a reminder that history is never as simple as it seems. The Templars' mission may have been obscured by centuries of revisionism and betrayal, but the core of their story remains the same. They were guardians of a sacred bloodline, entrusted with a mission that transcended the mundane concerns of politics and religion. Their secrets may still be with us today, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. As we conclude this journey into the Templar legacy, we are left with one final question. What happens when the truth about their bloodline, their mission, and their influence is finally uncovered? Could it change everything we know about history, power, and the very nature of divine right? The Templars may have been erased from history, but their secrets are alive, waiting to be discovered. As we reach the end of this journey through the Templar archives, it becomes clear that the story we've uncovered is far from finished. The Templars were not simply knights, nor were they just soldiers of faith. They were the keepers of a secret too powerful to be erased by time. Their mission, hidden from the world for centuries, was to protect a bloodline, a legacy that stretches back to the very origins of Christianity itself. But the question remains, what if this bloodline still exists today, quietly influencing the world from behind the scenes? The Templars' fall may have been orchestrated, their wealth seized, their order disbanded, but the secrets they protected did not vanish. They were buried, hidden, woven into the very fabric of history, passed down in codes, symbols, and secret societies. Perhaps, just perhaps, the bloodline they protected is still alive today, carried on by descendants who walk in the shadows, unaware of their true heritage. Could this hidden bloodline still have power? Some believe that the Templars' secret has endured, passed through powerful families hidden beneath the surface of history. Perhaps the descendants of the Templars are not even aware of the legacy they carry. What if the key to unlocking their power lies in the symbols they left behind? The Templars' story, their secrets, their bloodline could still be influencing the course of history, waiting for the right moment to emerge once again. The Templars weren't simply guarding relics or treasure, they were safeguarding a future, protecting a bloodline with the potential to change the world. The idea that this bloodline could return to power, revealing its true nature, is a tantalizing possibility. The question isn't just whether the bloodline survives, it's whether the world is ready for it. As we look toward the future, the Templar legacy remains as relevant as ever. The secrets they left behind, the cryptic messages in their symbols, the whispers of their influence, all point to one thing: the story isn't over. The Templars' mission continues quietly, guiding the world from the shadows. Their secrets haven't been revealed yet, but the time may come when they are, and the truth about the hidden bloodline they guarded will finally be known. For now, the power remains hidden. But one day it will emerge, and when it does, the world may never be the same again.